So when the wicked rise, judgment feed them. For 10 years, me I make it. Someday I had to sit down, but me a tour. Hands up from you, now bow stand. Well, I make me pick up me friend them. Live up your rhythm, it have a play. Irish and chin, no worry, everything straight. See, I am blessed. I am blessed. Every day of my life, I am blessed. When I wake up in the morning and I lay my head to rest, every day of my life, I am blessed. Me say me praise God straight, make money, money it has, fun bad mind. God knows me love woman, me father him, that's why me born. And enough of them a try stop me fly past them straight. Only for them a wicked, so what them in a rate. You know them one back still little food from me plate, but I got over devil a hell with them straight. I am blessed. I am blessed. Every day of my life I am blessed. When I wake up in the morning and I lay my head to rest, every day of my life I am blessed. I am blessed. I am blessed. Every day of my life I am blessed. When I wake up in the morning and I lay my head to rest, every day of my life I am blessed.
Hey, a very special good afternoon to you wherever you are. Glad to know that you're all tuned and locked to us here at 99.1. It's a wonderful afternoon here in Antigua, Barbuda. It's Saturday, January 13, 2018. My name is Colin O'Neill, and as usual on Saturdays, right here, everyone's waiting for the biggest show on radio, the Browne and Browne Show. So we want to say a very special good afternoon to you wherever you are. And of course, we're happy that you have once again selected us as your radio entertainers and informers as well. We continue to enlighten you, inform you, educate you, and also to entertain you. Good afternoon to our friends in the neighboring islands. Good afternoon to you, St. Kitts, especially Nevis. We understand we have a wide following in Nevis, Mr. Prime Minister. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Colin.
Yes.
Good afternoon to all of our listeners, all of our viewers, and certainly to the beautiful people of Poynton Villa.
Yes.
And Queen Murray. Wishing them all much love and blessings.
You would never forget that name at all when we begin.
That's right, that's right.
And for those listeners who are joining us for the very first time, we want to welcome you on board Antigua Barbuda, the wider Antigua Barbuda. Good afternoon to you as well. And not forgetting our listeners in the diaspora, especially in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, always tuned and locked to us here at 99.1, especially on a Saturday. Well, I have news for you, because we now have live streaming on our special website. You can find us at www.point, that's P-O-I-N-T-E, point with an E, pointradio.com, pointfmradio.com. Once again, you find us there. Just Google www.pointfmradio.com. That's P-O-I-N-T-E, pointfmradio.com, and join us live. We're streaming there already. And also our WhatsApp board, we're there momentarily as we go along. We'll open that as well. Our WhatsApp board number, just in case you want to get it early and bright, it's 729-7102. And for those of you outside of Antigua wishing to dialogue with us when we open up the lines, which we will indicate later on, you can reach us on 1-268-562-3989 or 1-268-562-2991. Mr. Prime Minister, I want to begin with on a very serious note, because I understand that one member of Parliament, the United Progressive Party, Wilmoth Daniel, is threatening to sue you for allegations he reportedly made against him. I don't know if that makes much sense, since I'm saying allegations, but according to what we have gleaned, his attorney said that you made some very outrageous allegations in Parliament recently, and you said that Mr. Daniel burned down, which I can't recall if you ever said that here at this station, but they segued into saying that you also made some comments on this station. But you want to enlighten us. You will be the better person to tell us exactly how you feel about it, because by now I believe, yes, you have responded. And we also have 2 clips that I'm going to play once you get started, and I want to share them with our listeners as well.
You want to play the clips, so at least we can get a
Well,
context.
you're going to have to give me...
Now,
yes.
to my knowledge, I did not call anybody's name on this radio station, and I'm very careful not to call names. I did speak about a UPP candidate, a hypothetical candidate of the UPP, who was involved in 3 fires. One involving a Spanish man that harmed him. In fact, that is what I got from, or in a response from Charles Wirt Tabor and Associates, a letter that was actually signed by Charles Wirt Tabor, in which they claim I said last Saturday on Point FM. They said that I indicated, and to quote, one of them, whose name I shall not call, he challenged me in Parliament. Now, let me also make the point, too, that there were several individuals who were actually running for the UPP who were in Parliament, in and out of Parliament. And so I said here that he challenged me to call his name, but I don't want him to sue the radio station.
Yeah.
I'm sure in due course that information will be made public. And they continue to quote me as saying that he burned down 3 different buildings, 2 of them to get insurance, and a third one is a Spanish man that was haunting him. And he burned down the man's house. But it's a matter of time before that becomes public. And I went on to say, this has nothing to do with politics. I'm the Prime Minister. I get privileged information from time to time. He burned down 3 properties, and he may end up in jail. One of the candidates of the UPP. Now, clearly, I did not call any name, and let me make it abundantly clear here that I'm not speaking about any specific candidate of the UPP, even today as we speak. Now, I found it strange that the Honorable Wilmot Daniel would attribute these comments to him, because at the end of the day, first of all, I didn't call his name. Secondly, to the best of my knowledge, he's a married man, so I don't see how the issue of getting knuckled by a Spanish man would be applicable to him. And again, if I did make certain statements to him, and I'm not saying I did, I'm not confirming or denying. If I said certain things to him in Parliament, then clearly I would have enjoyed parliamentary immunity. And he can now attach a statement in which I did not call his name. I didn't say that he's the one. I said a candidate of the UPP. To my knowledge, the UPP has at least 16 candidates.
As far as we know.
Exactly. And again, as I said to you too, he's a married man. So the issue of Spanish women should not apply.
That should not apply at all.
I just want to say to the public, though, that it's a serious issue. And the claim that I made, that I'm aware that a formal report was filed with the police about a particular member of Parliament burning 2 properties to get insurance proceeds. It is not a frivolous statement. It is a matter of fact that that statement was made. I did say that to the parliamentarian in Parliament, within the chambers of Parliament, and I'm not calling the person's name, but I did say to a particular parliamentarian in Parliament.
Yeah, let me interject here, because at the time you made a statement, I understand that the session was suspended by the Speaker of the House.
Not the session, the sitting.
The sitting was suspended.
Parliament was still in session.
It was still in session.
So, to the best of my knowledge, I enjoyed parliamentary immunity. Now, it is not that what I said was not factual, and that in itself is a defense, because in due course, the public would know that a formal statement was made against the parliamentarian. The person who allegedly committed the crime signed to that effect and indicated that he was paid, and he and others were actually paid to do so.
Have you responded? I can't recall in our opening there, because I noticed that we have some visitors here as well.
We have some celebrities here.
We have some big celebrities.
Maybe we need to take a look and then come back to this issue.
I think we should push.
Absolutely.
I think we should put this irrelevant situation with and deal with it, because I was waiting patiently to see my guy, the big deal, The big deal. I just couldn't wait to see you when I heard that you were coming to the studio. By the way, listeners, you're listening to 99.1 Antigua's latest radio station. So we dubbed ourselves Antigua's latest sensation, just a few months old, and we're already creating a storm. We have in the studio here with us, beginning with Christopher Martin, the ever popular Christopher Martin. He's with us. Chris, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, man. I'm so happy
Glad to see you, man. The big deal.
Oh gosh, man. It's a blessing, man. It's always a joy to be in Antigua.
Yes, wonderful. So what do you have for us now that you're here in Antigua? By the way, is it your first time here in Antigua?
No, I've been here on numerous occasions, but it's like second home to me. Every time I'm here, the vibe is awesome. The people show me so much love. But we're here for a greater cause this time.
You love this place?
Love it, man.
You love it?
Love it, man.
We have enough ton of Jamaicans here.
Yeah, but not even just the mere fact that there are a lot of Jamaicans here, just the people overall and the vibe of the country. You understand?
Very friendly people.
Yeah, man. It reminds me so much of home. It's like everybody makes you feel welcome, separate and apart from the fact that I'm an entertainer and they know me. That I just feel like that's how they deal with everybody. So
you have some really big hits out there. Notably, just give us some of the big ones that you have out there that really stir the masses when you go there.
Well, songs like Under the Influence, Big Deal, Cheetah's Prayer, Paper Loving, Take My Wings, Mama, Just Like You. It's a blessing for me to even call more than 3. You understand? Yeah, man. It's a blessing, man, and I feel like the Almighty has been blessing me in such a wonderful way. If I was to complain, I'd be ungrateful.
This is our Prime Minister.
Yeah, man, I know that, man. Definitely, man. Definitely.
We call him the world boss.
The world boss.
Yes.
Definitely.
Our version of the world boss. A real world boss.
That tries to meet the world boss, man. Officially,
yes,
man.
Outside of the radio broadcasting industry, I would like to talk to you because I have a message for you to take to a particular investor here in Antigua, but we're going to leave that for now.
Okay.
But I have a message for you to take to him, if you don't mind.
You say, so after we finish the interview?
After we finish the interview, so I'll just link you and tell you exactly.
All right, bossy.
Because we love Jamaicans here. As a matter of fact, if we were to go back into history, if I'm correct, because we had an historian here by the name of the late Leonard Tim Hector.
Yes.
And essentially, he could tell you about the slave ships that brought us to the Caribbean. And I think some time ago I was having a discussion with him, and he told me Antiguans and Jamaicans are closely linked, except for the fact that you had, I call it an invasion by the Spanish some time ago. So if you say airport, you say airport.
Yeah.
That comes from the Spanish influence, as you know. Well, he told me that the same slave ship that brought Antiguans here, and I could be historically wrong based on what he said to me, but I'm just going based on what he said.
Yes.
And he said the same slave ship that brought us here, Antiguans, is the same one that brought the Jamaicans. They only dropped off some from a particular part out of Sierra Leone here in Antigua and then move on to Montserrat and to Jamaica as well.
Okay.
You ever heard that?
No, I never.
Because some of the things we do and say the same, your food might be different and so on, but we have some intricacies about us that are similar.
And the language.
Yeah, and the language.
Yeah,
the language.
Yeah, the dialect is similar.
Although now your dialect is different, everything collective, you call it a bag of this and a bag of that. Yeah, but I'm glad to see you in Antigua.
I'm happy to be
and
here, man.
I always wanted to meet you, Chris. Trust
gosh,
me.
man, it's a joy to meet there officially, man. Trust me, man.
But what do you have for us tonight?
Well, tonight is gonna be an awesome time. I love to call my kind of music sugar reggae. You understand?
Sugar reggae?
Yeah, it's that sweet, undiluted kind of music. With, it's very commercial. You understand? I take pride in acknowledging that everyone in the family can listen to my music.
Wonderful.
From the youngest to the oldest. You understand? And it doesn't really matter which way the pendulum is swinging. I stay true to my fans and all the people who've grown to respect me and love me for the type of music that I do. You understand? So it doesn't matter what's popular right now. It could be the gun songs, it could be the slack songs. I don't care. You understand? People love me for the type of music that I do. Separate and apart from Christopher Martin being here, my singer D Major is here as well, who's gonna thrill the ladies. A two bad singer left out. You're gonna give me an acapella.
You're gonna give me the acapella. Wait, not yet. You're gonna give me that, but not yet. Always ready to shoot. Always ready to shoot. But Chris, let me ask you this. Yeah, go ahead.
Copyrights? Like, if you're allowed to play it?
Yeah.
Of course you can.
Okay. Well, the man right here, no. We don't have to write any application or ask anything. The real man is here, live and direct in Studio One, right here
100%.
at 99.1. Now, Chris, what really pushed you? What was the impetus, the catalyst that pushed you to become a reggae artist? And at what age did you realize that you have such talent to fulfill the call?
I'm going to tell you, I've been singing from like age 4 or 5. Yeah, so I started singing in church.
Yeah, why is it that most Jamaicans, the artists that make it big, they start to sing gospel, they start to sing in church?
I don't know, you know. I feel like when you're young, especially if you live in the country, because I'm a country youth. So my parents were Christians. So the only way in the country you could sing is either you're going to sing on a sound system or you're going to sing in church. And my family were Christian, so I couldn't sing no other way. And I just love singing so much. When I started going to high school, I met some friends of mine who were 7-day. So they went to church on Saturday, I went to church on Sunday. So I would sing with them on a Saturday, and then I would go to church, sing again on a Sunday.
You couldn't escape it.
No, that's just how much I love to sing. And then, you know, when we were leaving high school, everybody had their plans of how they were going to further their education and what they were going to do, who was going to go to America and not come back. You understand? So, and I was like, yo, I don't see, I want to go to college, but I don't know how. So a friend of mine said, yo, just enter this competition. And the prize money at the time seemed very lucrative. And he said, just enter and win.
So what did your parents say when they realized that you didn't want to further your education, but you wanted to do get into music?
No, you see, that was the entire plan behind it from Jump Street. I was going to win and pay my tuition to go to UTech, University of Technology in Jamaica. And I did exactly that. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I won in 2005. I went to school in 2006, finished in 2010. And, you know, yeah, and it's now 2018.
You are considered as one of Jamaica's better, if not best, crooners. Am I correct?
I appreciate that.
You like to woo the ladies.
Definitely.
I saw you one time on a video. You were doing something, I think it was Reggae Sunfest, and there was a girl getting a bad man, and you just taking her along with you.
Yeah, man, we bring her on the ride, man.
Yes.
We'd never leave her. We'd not keep her off. Bringing her all the way.
Yeah.
All the way, man. We'd never leave her off. You know, a lot of bus stops passing, and she said she's ready, but she was never really ready.
If I were to say that you were born with this inert talent,
I wouldn't say you're wrong, because I was born on Valentine's Day.
Really?
Yes, man. Isn't that a cliche? Well, look at that. That is awesome.
More than awesome.
You never even know, eh?
Yeah, I
you
didn't
just
know
asking
that.
the question, you didn't even know that was born.
Well, I know
Valentine's
about,
Day.
you know, because if you notice, I might look a little bit young, you know, Chris, but I'm up in age. Bitty McLean.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that Bitty McLean, he was born in Birmingham, right? Sometime in 1972. And I've been listening to. He's a crooner as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, but
walk away from love.
Yeah, but name some of the most notable crooners that you know who you have basically fashioned your style from.
Sam Cooke is one of those people, the top of the list. People like Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, our very own Burris Hammond, Dennis Emmanuel Browne. There are so many singers that I grew up listening to. I owe all of that to my father, though. You understand? Even though he was a Christian, he listened to a ton load of music. Your
father is still alive?
Yeah, man.
Mommy too?
Both of them.
I noticed you did something for both.
After.
I think you did Mommy first.
I did Mommy first.
And then what, Daddy get jealous?
No, you see, a lot of people, based on how true I kept, you know what I mean, with the words and how my emotions came out in that song. A lot of people thought that I grew up in a single parent home. So, you know, it's like I felt like I only grew up with my mother. You know,
is that the case?
No, but it's just a thing, though.
I gathered that. For some reason, I gathered that when I heard both songs and the contents and so on.
Yeah, man. So it's like, you know, we showed all this love to Mommy, and then people are getting it misconstrued. So we just level the playing field and show them. Say, I grew up with a general in my house, just like the world boss. I grew up with a world boss in my house. You understand?
Yes, yes.
So I've met the people them know, and they took on to both songs in such a wonderful way. So I'm that person who represented for the parents.
Who writes for you?
Christopher Martin.
You write for yourself?
Yeah, man.
Arrange?
Yes.
Produce?
I do some productions, but mostly writing and arranging. Yeah, man.
So when you're out there crooning these ladies and so on and getting on bad, you're in a relationship, I would believe.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. How does your lady feel about that? Because, you know, West Indian women can be very jealous sometimes.
She's awesome about it, man. It's always great when you have something in your possession and you see other people loving it. It's nice.
Your girlfriend is an artist as well?
Depending on what you use the word artist to do.
Okay.
She's an architect.
She's an architect.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Chris, we're looking forward to hearing you. The big deal.
I'm ready and waiting, man. I'm so excited. As I said, it's always a pleasure to be here in Antigua. The women show me so much love. We're gonna bring them on a ride tonight as well. You understand?
Chris, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure having you. But I'm gonna come back to you.
Yeah. D major.
D major.
Yeah, man.
D major, how are you?
Greetings
To you as well.
Check.
Yes. You ready to give us that acapella, because I know that you are in support of Chris as well. The backup singer,
brother.
No, man. Yeah, man.
That's what you said just
musical. I'm a musical brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
all right.
but he has all his own songs and all his own.
Mm-hmm.
My supporting vocalist.
Is it your first time here, D major?
No, incidentally, well, first and foremost, you don't know, big up to the world boss, and big up to the listeners. You know what I'm saying? Actually, I've traveled here years ago. For the first time as an artist. I was telling one of the team members, I was singing in a group that time. Sean Paul was also on the concert, and it was also I remember it was in the recreational ground. I was years ago though. I was when I was very, very, very young as an artist, you know what I'm saying? I was a member of a five-member group, you know what I'm saying? So this trip is kind of special for me to return, to the first
first place you venture out of the island for come perform.
Exactly.
Look at
your
that.
first time?
Yes, sir.
So you're just budding out, so to speak, in the international arena.
Yeah.
And it's your first time and you're coming to Antigua.
Yes.
Blessings. Trust me, you're going to be big time once you come here first.
Oh, yeah.
So the blessings start flow.
The love was overwhelming, So big up to the Antiguan people. It's going to be a joy later on, looking forward to it again. Now, as a solo artist, you see me I say, so it's a joy, man. We're there for sing, and as Chris say, you know what I'm saying, and of course we align myself with clean music, good music.
What are some of the offerings you have for us tonight? Name some of the big tunes you're going to be dropping on us.
Whoa, we just gonna sing whatever the vibe is.
Real no real, tell them real and them songs. The vibes and them.
Why my brother rush, man? We'll get to the acapella, man.
We're getting Chris, give him a chance. Let him do it. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, man. We limited for time. We have to do it.
No. Take your time, Antigua. By the way, listen to me, D major. Right now, throughout the length and breadth of Antigua.
Yes.
Everyone's listening to this radio station because on this show we call it the Browne and Browne show.
Browne and Browne.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister and myself.
Boss and boss.
Well, if you want to call it that, but he's the world boss. Okay. I'm the studio boss. Look at that.
Work. Still
look at
work.
that, Chris. Look at that.
It still works.
Yeah, but trust me, everyone's listening right now, and I believe based on what Chris has said and what you're saying, we're going to see a great turnout tonight.
Okay.
Albeit that we see a little rain coming and a little overcast, but I believe that you will come out in your numbers, my dear listeners.
Yes.
But you're ready to give us an acapella, or perhaps before you go to the acapella, maybe you'd like to tell us a little bit about yourself, because where in Jamaica are you from, for example?
From Kingston. Chris is a country boy, I'm a city youth. You know what I'm saying? So it's a perfect balance. From Kingston, Jamaica. Grew up in a single parent home. Big up to Mama Major, she mother and fathered me, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just love our music. I owe that to my mother, because she used to bring home tapes. She had a Beres Hammond record, I remember, however, that I could not dare touch. You know what I'm saying? It would be serious punishment if I ever touched that record. So I was always fascinated with that though, you know what I'm saying? So Beres Hammond is one of my main influences, as well as a host of other R&B people, Dennis Browne as well as local artists, Barrington Levy. These are singers I listen to from a very young age, in how they construct, and compose their music, how the writing is formed and so. I think that has a lot to do with what I've molded into becoming.
Yes.
You see me, answer?
Yeah. But who writes for you?
Myself.
Produce
myself.
Arrange.
We work with various producers. If the whole project and the whole music sounds right, we can do work. Or if them, on the same page meant musically as us or myself, definitely.
How long have you been singing now? Chris says he started from over 4 or 5.
Solo. Oh wow. I'm the opposite. I discovered my talent about mid-high school. You know, I discovered my talent for singing. Just beating on the desk as a regular high school picnic. You know what I'm saying? As a regular high school child, just beating on the desk. I'm a friend of mine say, you sound like the record. So, you know, every lunchtime they would have come for me and would have to sing. You know what I'm saying? Beating on the desk and so on. That is how I started honing the craft. Yeah.
Apart from the Barry Salmon music that your mother had that fascinated you,
yeah.
What would you say is the greatest impetus, the catalyst that pushed you into doing it full time?
Probably the boy band era, you know, the Boys to Men and stuff, you know, that really, I remember that time I was really, the fascination did peak, that's all, I think, you know, and at that time we did start learning how to harmonize, you know, and we start experiment more, you know, so the passion started to grow for this and just from this, so.
Who would you say is the greatest all-time reggae singer? And Chris not going to be offended if you say not Chris.
Oh, boy. Tough one, that, you know.
It's a tough
really
one.
A tough one. That is really a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Yeah, man. That is a tough one.
Who you think would you say that you emulate the most, that you fashion your style from?
I mean, I hear that I sound like so many people. But as I say, it's so much. I'm a student, you know, of the craft. You know, I'm always learning. I think I can learn from anybody. You know, I'm a student of the craft, and as I say, it's a whole melting pot of different people, different sounds. You know, different influences that makes D major. D major a cappella. Do something for me now. Yeah, man. Me and my baby. We have our problems, but we always work them out. She don't believe in shooting stars. She believes in shoes and cars, yes. Only around big spenders. Baby girl apart, tell you this. She profile like a star. Fall in love, she will leave you with a scar, yeah. No, she won't surrender. And no. When the deal is done, girls, we gon' party like it's your birthday.
Live and direct from Studio One here at 99.1, the sound of D major. Yes. But trust you me, you know, I think here in Antigua, your music, both of you, as a matter of fact, your music have been well established in terms of listenership.
Yeah, man.
And,
well received.
Well received. So I do believe this evening, tonight, we're going to see people come out in their numbers to see you perform. It's a free concert, by the way. It's a free concert. So when the people hear about free, they're going to come out in their numbers.
It's only right.
Yes.
It's only right.
So anything that you'd like to add?
Everybody just come out and tell somebody else to come out and make them tell somebody else to come out.
Yeah.
You know?
Everyone who's listening here of this interview, you know, I implore you, you know, I want you to stay safe. You know, I want you to think and be responsible in all your actions. You understand? Whatever you do, make sure it's for the betterment of yourself and your family and your friends, and just stay safe and ensure that tonight you come out and have a good time. You understand? As we're here on the Browne and Browne show, which is broadcast to everybody.
When you go back home to Jamaica, tell them about us, the Browne and Browne show, and pull it up because we're on Facebook as well. You can find us. Write it down, D major. Grab the word boss and write it down.
The Boss and Boss show.
Yeah, the Boss and Boss show. Maybe we should change it to now.
Boss and Boss, the word boss and the
Yeah, but on this show, we exploit every single avenue to bring the information to our listeners,
True.
whether it's political or otherwise. And it's incumbent on us because we're in a very intertwined community here. We call down here the Point community. As a matter of fact, you're sitting on the historic Papa Manny Bay. Just outside is the harbor.
Okay.
Right? So you're on historic ground here, right here in the Point community.
Awesome.
Around here we have Point and Villa, what you call it, Old Runway, Yorks. These are areas that are intertwined.
Yeah.
And this radio station basically is a community-based radio station, but it has global perspective. So when you go anywhere out there, as a matter of fact, today is the first day most people are hearing now, since we are so brand new.
Yeah.
They're hearing about our website, which is pointfmradio.com. D Major, man, I see you all right.
Wicked.
But you know, if I
Our
can
retention
intervene here,
skills are great, man.
Yeah.
I just want to share with you the concept of this concert.
Right.
We call it the One Nation concert.
Right.
You know, Antigua and Barbuda is a melting pot, so that approximately half of our population comprises CARICOM nationals from different CARICOM countries,
Yeah.
Jamaica, Guyana, Dominica, etc. In fact, I believe we have perhaps close to about 10,000 Jamaicans living here,
Look at
comprising
that.
about
Yeah.
10% of our country's population. Now, wherever you have that type of diversity, sometimes you can have tensions. So what we're trying to do here is to maintain the peace and tranquility within the country, for them to understand that fundamentally we're one and the same.
That's the objective.
We all part of one nation,
True.
and we're one people with a common destiny. Now, the first week in every year is our week of Thanksgiving. So we start with a church service and we end with a One Nation concert.
Okay.
And for us, it's about giving back to the people. It's about celebrating their contribution towards the advancement of the country. You know, major corporations, every year they have an annual party, and
True,
they
true, true.
take care of the staff. They bring everybody together to generate camaraderie among the staff.
True.
Here's a situation in which the government is saying, look, we're the biggest business, and we are bringing the people together with this concert. And I want to thank you, UB40 as well, because if you did not reduce your price significantly, we would not have been able to achieve this.
True.
Now, we have an added issue in that you probably be aware that our sister island, Barbuda, got decimated by Hurricane Irma. So we decided that the bar proceeds will go towards the recovery efforts, but the government will foot the bill for the organization of this particular concert.
True.
Now, whereas it's costing us probably maybe 250, 300,000 EC dollars, I guarantee you we're getting over $1 million worth of entertainment tonight.
Yes.
You're talking
Yes.
about Christopher
For
Martin.
sure, for
You're
sure.
talking about UB40.
Big deal, big deal.
Exactly.
Vibes.
So
UB40, yes.
I
as
also
well.
want to join Chris to ask all Antiguans and Barbudans, all residents, all citizens to come out in the numbers. It's real entertainment value, and at the end of the day, what we're trying to do here is to keep Antiguans and Barbudans as a happy people, and at the same time to promote greater camaraderie, greater unity. In fact, we've taken a position that the unity of our people is the salvation of our country.
I like that.
Many of us in the Caribbean, we take the fact that, you know, we're operating within a zone of peace for granted.
True.
But the truth is, we should do all in our power to maintain the peace and tranquility, because with that comes economic stability, political stability, social stability.
Indeed.
So, you know, those who are short-sighted and suggesting that is a waste of money, they do not understand. In fact, the truth is, 2/3 of the funds that we're spending for this concert will be spent among local suppliers and local artists, because we have a heavily subsidized rate coming from both Chris and UB40. So I want to thank you sincerely on behalf of the government and people of Antigua and Barbuda to make
Thank
this
you very
concert a
much, man.
reality.
Okay.
Thank you very
Chris,
much.
I see you have BDB.
Big deal, boss.
Big deal.
It's three boss, you know. World boss, to the boss, big deal boss.
World boss, to the boss, and big deal boss.
Thank you very much.
But you're not going to leave here unless you give me an acapella as well.
Yeah, you know the thing already, man.
Which one you going to give me?
Which one you want?
I love big deal.
Look at that.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all about self-worth. So big up your chest and stand proud, and don't matter about nobody, no man no more than no man on this earth. So whether you walk or you a drive car, it no matter if you a eat or black like tar, from you feel good in yourself, you're a star. When you come out tonight in a star, because a big deal. One Nation, it is a big deal. This concert is very, very, very important to Antigua for real. You don't know the thing already, man.
Chris, I want to say thank you so much for dropping by. You know, it's a pity you couldn't spend some more time with us.
Trust me. It's a joy to meet the eye, man. It's a joy
Yes.
for it to open my mind to certain things that I didn't know as well. I appreciate that entirely.
yes.
Thank you very much, man.
Indeed.
Enough respect, my boss.
respect, my
Blessings, man.
Yes, and
That's
D
right.
Major.
Likewise,
yes,
General.
likewise,
Likewise,
yes,
man.
yes,
World
big up to
boss,
you.
big up, you know.
Blessings.
Okay, yeah. So you've heard from D Major and of course from the Big Deal, Christopher Martin, live and direct from us here at Studio One, right here at 99.1. Stay with us. We're going to continue the Browne and Browne show, and don't forget we're going straight into the evening time. So make sure that you're all tuned and locked to us here at 99.1. Here comes Chris Martin with one of my favorites, all-time music, of course, all-time songs, reggae to boot. Chris Martin, Christopher Martin, Big Deal.
You're my friend and my VIP. VIP. Ask anybody, boy.
I'm a
big deal. You're my friend, I'm a big deal. Yeah, we're kinda important. For real. Oh yeah, I'm a big deal. And my friends are some big deals. Very, very, very important. For real. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all about self-worth. So big up your chest and stand proud, and don't matter about nobody. No man no more than no man on this earth. So whether you walk or you a drive car, after if you're white or black like tar, me feel good in yourself, you're a star. Push up on no one and tell all the haters I'm a big deal. You're my friend, I'm a big deal. I'm if you tell you, yeah, we're kinda important. Okay. For real. Oh yeah, I'm a big deal. Believe me, my friends are some big deals. Okay. Very, very, very important. For very. For real. Hold on. Yo, Biggs, you know them? It's like you have the Prime Minister, and then you have way. That's the order in a few week country. Yes, that's the status of the hierarchy. Ask anybody about it. 4.0 at the great point average, and we never cheat or copy if we get it. You know you have your dreams and nobody can stop it. Just walk out, bust a blank and say I'm a big deal. You have to just love yourself. I mean, value yourself, think highly of yourself. You know, you're very important. Hashtag, I'm a big deal.
VIP, you're my friend, I'm a VIP. VIP. Ask anybody about it.
I'm a big deal. You're my friend, I'm a big deal. Yeah, we're kinda important. For real. Oh yeah, I'm a big deal. And my friends are some big deals. Very, very, very important. For real. This has nothing to do with money or fame or vanity. This one is all about self-worth. So big up your chest and stand proud, and don't matter about nobody. No man no more than no man on this earth. So whether you walk or you a drive car, after if you're white or black like tar, me feel good in yourself, you're a star. Push up on no one and tell all the haters
This is
I'm a
Point
big deal.
FM
You're my friend, I'm a
99.1.
big deal. I'm if you tell you, yeah, we're kinda important. Okay. For real. Oh yeah, I'm a big deal. Believe me, my friends are some big deals. Okay. Very, very, very important. For very. For real.
Okay, you're listening to 99.1 FM and the big deal, Christopher Martin and D Major. They were in here just for a brief moment. You have to go on out to that big show this evening. It begins at just about what time p.m.?
I think it's 8 p.m.
8 p.m. Right, and the show is free of cost, as you've heard. You have heard us saying so early on. So make sure that you go on out and enjoy yourselves. We're trying to put all nations together here. One nation.
All nationalities,
Yes.
all ethnicities, one nation, one people with a common destiny.
Now, PM, let's continue with what we started. We were pleasantly interrupted there.
Absolutely,
And I'm so happy because I now got a chance to meet Christopher Martin live and direct in person.
The big deal.
The big deal, of course. You know, I have two clips here that I want to share with the listeners.
Right.
But I want you to continue based on what you were telling us.
Well, you know,
And give me a
sometimes
chance to pull
we
it up.
have to be very careful with the things that we say on the radio. All I want to say to the people of Antigua and Barbuda is that my statement to the effect that a parliamentarian, or that a report for that matter, was made to the police about a parliamentarian paying someone to burn a property is not a fabrication. That is as far as I go with that issue. In due course, clearly the police, they're doing the work. In due course, the public will hear more about it.
Okay.
Now, I find it interesting, though, that there are individuals on Observer Radio who may wish to state and who would have stated that by virtue of me stating that I'm aware that this report was made, that is interference. Now, you would recall that several months ago that an allegation was made against one of our parliamentarians involving a young lady. She made certain claims that the parliamentarian had molested her. And they went to town. They were even calling for the resignation of the parliamentarian, who was then a minister. They went as far as demanding that I terminate his position as a minister, even though it was not proven. But now that, the shoe is on the other foot, and it involves a parliamentarian who is a member of the UPP, and that someone has made a statement, a formal statement against that parliamentarian, they now see that as interference. Isn't that interesting? All I can say to the people of Antigua and Barbuda at this point is that I know how far I can go with the issue. Again, it's privileged information, and I will not go any further, other than I know that a formal report was made. And by the way, I did not get this information from the police. I got it from the person who made the report. And Colin, as a host, you're aware as well. I'm not the only person the host told about this. And not the host, the person who made the report. He told me and even the host of this program about it. So, again, we just wait for the outcome. But I know it's a serious matter. And we'll allow the police, we'll allow law enforcement to do the work. In the meantime, I know that they're trying to make it into a political issue and to file litigation. But I see here that there are two letters. The strange thing about it, he had Tabor write me on the 10th, and then Ralph Francis on the 11th.
So 2 lawyers?
2 lawyers.
Why he didn't...
The same issue. But one lawyer writing on the 10th and one writing on the 11th. So it is clear that this person is in trouble. Because I can't see, let's say it was even frivolous. If somebody had accused me, for example, of burning a property, I'll laugh. Because I know it's not so. I never burnt any property or caused any property to be burnt.
Did you mention, I can't recall you mentioning his name at all.
And I shall not. And if you notice, I've spoken to a parliamentarian. It's not that I can't, because the truth is a defense. But you see, sometimes people are wrong and they still file lawsuits in order to make it look as though that they're innocent. It doesn't cost them anything. They have lawyers who work for them for free. So I don't want the station to be tied up in any litigation.
Certainly not.
And if you notice, they did not sue the station because up to this point we have not called the person's name. Now, having dispensed of that particular issue, and let me make it abundantly clear to the public, what I said last week was not about any parliamentarian of the UPP who sits in Parliament. I spoke about a candidate of the UPP. I want to make that abundantly clear. And no name was issued.
Yes, you're quite correct.
They are 2 distinct stories. One spoke about maybe 1 fire, I think. This particular issue last Thursday spoke about 3 fires.
As a matter of fact, the approach, I think, in Parliament said a building.
Exactly.
And the other statement, right here at this radio station, he said 3 buildings.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they're 2 different issues that I'm speaking about here.
Yes.
But I want to deal with a 3rd one today. And with this 3rd one,
and I'm cautioning you again.
And I accept.
Okay.
And I'll be responsible. With this one, I'm now dealing with a fact. And then it has come to mind now since Wilmot Daniel decided to get 2 lawyers to write to me. They say that a guilty conscience needs no accuser.
Yes.
Well, I'm not accusing him of being guilty. But I have to say that I have had to reflect on certain things that happened before. I recall that in July of 2014, just after the UPP lost, that a building in which Mr. Daniel operated a business, perhaps in partnership with others, that building was mysteriously burnt. I am also aware that Mr. Daniel, and I'm not accusing him of anything, I'm just stating a fact. I'm aware that Mr. Daniel was paid insurance proceeds. Yes. I'm also aware, too, that about 16 months later, that another building that was owned by the Honorable Wilmot Daniel, a building in Bethesda in which he had his branch office, was also burnt.
Mysteriously.
Mysteriously. It was deemed to be arson. Now, I want to know, how could one person within an 18-month period have the fortune or the misfortune of a fire or 2 fires within an 18-month period.
And
What is the probability of that? That is what I'm asking.
Yeah, and we never, I'm glad that you asked that, and we never heard anything in particular where he has come out and being vehement about situations like that happen. We never heard about it in the public in terms of, you know, Daniel saying anything. I can't recall. Maybe I could be wrong, but I can't recall reading or hearing anything on the response after they were burned.
Let me preface my statement by stating categorically that we're not accusing the Honorable Wilmot Daniel of anything. We are asking the question. And even if we do have reasonable suspicions, I think that those suspicions are reasonable. I will not state what those suspicions are. But I ask the question to the public, to the people of this nation. What is the probability of a former minister of government, after he would have lost power? By the way, no, served as a minister for 10 years. There was not a single fire. But after he lost power, 2 entities in which he had an ownership interest, if not in the building, at least in the contents, would have suffered from 2 arsons within a space of 18 months. And that parliamentarian would have had the opportunity to make 2 claims for insurance settlement. What is the probability of that happening to anyone, for that matter, in their lifetime?
And there is reasonable, there is reason for suspicion here.
I'm saying here, I never really stopped to think about it.
There's reason
but
for
after
suspicion.
I received these 2 letters, I'm like, but hold on a second. If a man look at me and say, boy, Prime Minister or Gaston, you burned down this place, boy, I just laugh after the person. But you fired a letter on the 10th and another one on the 11th. That sounds like a form of desperation to me from 2 different lawyers.
The one on the 10th, the one on the 10th is from his lawyer, attorney.
Both lawyers, one from Ralph Francis and one
The
from
one from
Table.
Ralph Francis, I've never heard anything about it until you just mentioned
I got it yesterday.
Are you in a position to share some of it with our listeners?
To tell the truth, I don't want to repeat what's here because we have to protect the station.
Yes.
But it is along the same lines in which the claim was made that I said to him that a certain building, well, this one is actually speaking to a certain building, that building was actually burnt. Now, you have to understand too that whereas I had parliamentary immunity when I made that statement initially, if I bring that issue into the public domain now, I will lose the immunity. And that is why I have to separate the issues. So this speaks to what was said in Parliament. I don't want to bring it onto the radio now and to lose immunity. What I think they're trying to suggest now is that because we had a break in Parliament, that we had lost electricity and that we're not sitting, they're trying to suggest I would have lost my immunity when I made certain comments to Wilmot Daniel. But my understanding is that provided Parliament is in session and I'm within the precincts of the Parliament, I do enjoy the immunity. But again, that is due to interpretation. In any event, the truth is a defense. So the question is, what I said to the parliamentarian, and notice I'm not calling any specific name. It is a fact that a statement was actually issued to the police about a particular fire involving a member of parliament. And I go no further on that issue.
Okay, so we're going to leave that as it is now, and we will see what evolves out of that. But I want to move on from that. I think it's about time that we do so. And I want to move on based on the fact that we're seeing some latest, we're hearing about some latest development closest to home here, closer to home.
Before I forget,
in the immediate
they have
community.
asked that we post the Point FM website on the Facebook link so that they can access
Yes.
Point FM.
That is to be done.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but I want to start, I want to go to what is closer to home here, within this community, the immediate community. The much talk about port modernization project, which is to commence shortly. And we understand that the groundbreaking ceremony will take place on Monday, day after tomorrow. Are you in a position to give us an update, considering also that we have gleaned that officials from the Port Authority were invited to Cabinet? What was the purpose for the invitation?
Well, it was to brief my colleagues on the proposed new port, the facilities, the actual design. So we had a very good exchange with Merkley Hurst, the chairman, Honorable Merkley Hurst, the most powerful woman on the island, as well as the port manager, Darwin Telemack, and they shared with the cabinet members the design concept and the various facilities. It will become easily one of the most efficient ports within the Caribbean, and the port will be expanded. In fact, the actual land space itself too will be expanded, because we intend to utilize the judge spoils to create a further 12 acres of land, which will give us a significant amount of space for expansion. Facility will have a couple of cranes and an administrative building that will be over 30,000 square feet, and lots of facilities that are associated with a modern port. So even the cargo shed itself will have probably about 3 times the storage capacity that it has now. And what we're trying to do now is to transition the port into a sub-regional, if not fully regional, transshipment port, one in which goods will come here and will be transshipped throughout the Caribbean. So we expect to see an enormous amount of trade taking place there within the next 3 years when the port would have been completed. Already for 2017, we'd have seen a significant increase in the volume of goods moved through the port, and even the revenue would have increased from about $21 million in 2013 to $43 million by the end of 2017. So you'd have seen here that we literally doubled the amount of goods that came through the port compared to what happened on the Harrow level. So when they speak about, this so-called success of the UPP, again, the facts would have shown that in 2013, that they only did about $21 million worth of business. That is the Port Authority. And that in 2017, they did $43 million. Now, we have to understand that the port itself does not conduct any specific trade. They're just facilitating the flow of goods in and out of the country. The amount of goods coming into the country, for that matter, is indicative of the economic performance. So if you have strong demand and people importing a lot, then you will have an increase in revenue. If, on the other hand, there's a fall in demand and people are not buying as much, then you'll see a fall in revenue. And that is exactly what happened on the Harrow level and the UPP during the term that he served as finance minister. So I don't know how people, especially this guy, Damani Tabor, I mean, this guy is just such a sickening guy, yeah? I don't know how he has a gumption to go and observe a radio on a weekly basis and boast about strong economic performance on the UPP when he well knows that Harrow Lovely is the one who collapsed the country's economy. He knows that the country is doing significantly better. All the stats are there to show that under my government that we have expanded the country's economy rapidly. Whereas Harrow Lovely lost 20%, we gained 20%, and we'd have created more jobs, there are more vehicles, there are more homes being built. The country is just far more vibrant, more buoyant than it has ever been. The only problem is that government are collecting enough taxes, because we have kept the government poor deliberately so that Antiguans and Barbudans can enjoy good disposable incomes. But they can be assured, if they make the mistake and to return the UPP to government, you can be assured that they will reintroduce personal income tax. Because you recall that leading up to 2004, when we're telling the people that the UPP, if they win, that they will reintroduce personal income tax, they denied it. But as soon as they got it, the following year in 2005, they reintroduced personal income tax.
Yes.
But that is not our biggest problem. If the UPP, God forbid, were to win the next general elections, they will collapse the country's economy. They will destroy all the gains that we would have made. And just today I was at the dockyard as we welcomed Team Antigua, and I want to commend them back to back. And I was wondering, but hold on a second, man. I mean, people are really following what's going on. So whereas they think that they're fooling people and observer by saying all of these things that are not true and making all these false promises, people have not forgotten the fact that it's only 5 years ago, well, less than 5 years ago, less than 4 years ago, that this country was in a mess. Now, what Tabor and Harrow Lovell in particular, what they don't recognize is that it's not a historical situation they're talking about that maybe 20, 30 years old, so people can't identify with it.
Yeah.
What they don't recognize, the fact that they collapsed the country's economy between 2009 and 2014 is still relatively fresh in the minds of the population. So whereas they feel they're doing so well and they're fooling the people, it's not going to happen.
Now, we're talking about, I want to go back a little bit to the development at the port. You're going to be expending upwards of $90 million.
90 million United States dollars.
US dollars.
So you're looking at about 250 million EC dollars, $250 million to build a new port right here on Antigua.
Are you in a
New cargo
position
port.
to share the interest rate with us? I can't recall if you
We
just
got very
mentioned
good terms, 2% interest over 20 years, and we got a 5-year moratorium. So in the meantime, what we have to do is to start to accumulate funds in a sinking fund account so that when the payments start, then we will be in a position to pay. Now, I know the staff, for example, you know, we boasted about the increase in volumes and so on, the fact that the port would have had an increase in revenue, increase in profits. But it also has increased obligations because this $250 million to pay that back will take an enormous amount of money. So some of those profits, or most of the profits of that matter, they have to be placed in a sinking fund account so that when time comes to pay the loan, we have resources to pay the loan. And it is important that we have the resources to pay the loan because if we default on this particular relationship, then we'll have a problem because China has been the most responsive country to our developmental needs. They've given us many soft loans. They've given us a soft loan for the airport at 2% as well over 20 years. There's no other country that is lending us under those terms. So it is important for us to continue to keep those facilities current. And you would recall, too, that when we came to government in June of 2014, that the UPP government had defaulted on all of the Chinese loans. They almost destroyed the relationship.
Yes.
And we had to move pretty quickly to raise funds in order to pay up those loans to bring them up to date. And since then, we have made all of the payments. We have not missed a payment.
What portion of lands are we talking about here for this expansion?
On the western side of the port, probably more northwestern side going over to Fort, the channel between there, we will create perhaps about 1,000 linear feet.
You're going to have to do any more
land.
dredging in terms of going that way?
We have to dredge the harbor itself, even for the fifth pier. And by the way, we're also spending $30 million US to construct a fifth pier. We should sign the contract next week, and we expect to start by the following week. So you'll see a significant amount of dredging taking place in here very shortly within the harbor here. We have to dredge because we need the depths in order to accommodate the AOSIS class ships. Those are the largest ships in the world. They can't dock here now. We don't have the facilities, neither the berthing facility, because they have to be extremely long as well. If you notice, to accommodate the quantum class ships, we have to expand the Heritage Key Pier.
Yes.
In this case, we have to build a pier that is even longer. So it's going to stretch from Point Wharf going right up into Heritage Key. And that itself is going to run us about 30 million, plus we have to dredge. So between the construction of the pier, the new pier, and the dredging, it will run us 30 million. Now, rather than taking the dredge spoil and put it on land, we can create more land. And I know that there's some individuals who will try to oppose it. You know, if you go to the Middle East, I mean, half of, for example, Dubai is actually reclaimed land. So what they're doing is that they're using the resources. And this is not a marine-sensitive area. I mean, the port, as you know, has been utilized for transportation for many years, cargo ships, cruise vessels. There are many people who say we do not have a lot of, life in the waters here in the St. John's Harbor. So it's not to say that by dumping the dredge spoils there and creating more land that you're doing any form of environmental degradation based on the present condition of the port. But it has to be dredged to the depth to accommodate, the AOSIS class ships. And we want to make sure that we turn the dredge spoils into viable material by creating land that we can utilize for the expansion of the port. And that itself could make the St. John's port one of the largest cargo ports anywhere in the Caribbean.
Now, we've gleaned that the area in total encompasses about 12 acres of land. Is that so?
The additional land.
The additional
12
land,
acres,
about
correct.
12 acres.
Yeah. So you could throw it out to sea, off the continental shelf. One, it will cost you more. Two, by putting it here to create land, you're creating economic value, because the land itself will be waterfront land that has real economic value. And as you know, you can build in it. I mean, you will have piles going right into the bedrock. So you'll be surrounded by water. They'll have the sheet piling. So it's not a case that, it's going to flow back into the water. They'll put in sheet piles to contain all of the material.
What does this new development signal, what does it signal for us? Because I want to share something here with our listeners. And I want your feedback after I would have read it, when I'm finished reading it. The Port Authority, the Cabinet was told has doubled its revenue. This was coming. I guess this was coming from the three persons that you invited. You invited the chairman, the general manager, and the chief engineer.
Correct.
Right. The Port Authority, the cabinet was told, has doubled its revenue. In 2013, the port earned $20.8 million. In 2017, the year that just ended, the port's revenue stood at $43 million.
Twice the amount.
Twice the amount.
And I want to remind you that the activity at the port is indicative as to what is happening in the economy, because the port does not do any intrinsic business on its own.
Hence the question.
It facilitates goods coming in and leaving the country. So those figures speak for themselves. So when they tell you that they were doing so well in 2013, and recall too that 2013 would have been the last year of full operation by the UPP. And I want to remind the nation too that even in 2014, we governed the country for 6.5 months, at least a half a month more than the UPP. So if anything, most of the credit for the 2014 growth would have gone to the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party. So today, we're doing twice the amount of business that we did under the UPP.
Yesterday, while I spoke to the manager, Mr. Telemac, I asked him about what percentage of local contractors will be brought in to get the job done. And he said that you were more or less very adamant that a number of people who work as contractors are supposed to be hired. What percentage would you say, or what ratio are you looking at?
We've asked for 40%. We've gotten an agreement from the contractors. Sometimes, they try to manipulate and so on. So the management of it will have to be very important. We'll be appointing a liaison officer to make sure that that person can advise the cabinet in terms of, the ratio of employees, Chinese and Antiguan employees, because we genuinely would like that project to be an empowering project, one that will help to transfer some technology to the people of Antigua and Barbuda, especially our contractors, and one that will also provide significant employment opportunities for the people. And we expect that between that project and other private sector projects that are taking place, that we should be able to map up all of the employment involving the males in this country. And if they're females who, for example, would want to work on the construction of the fifth pier, or they even want to be part of this new port project, we invite them to be part of it. The opportunity is there. They may not necessarily be laboring opportunities. They could be probably engineering opportunities and other similar opportunities. So we want them to avail themselves to participate in these two exciting projects.
What about the immediate surroundings, like us here, for example, at Point FM?
Right.
There has to be some economic spin-offs for us as well, and the people within the immediate surroundings. What would you say to those people who are patiently waiting for this to develop and to be a part of the growth and development of it in terms of doing business around here?
We will also create perhaps another 6 to 8 acres of land between Food City and the distillery. And I've asked Mr. Telemac to get someone to do a rendition to turn that into an economic zone. One in which we can provide land for people to operate, those who are involved, for example, those who are involved in brokerage. I know Fustin just here on Bay Street. I mean, he may want to consider moving down there, and others in Nelson Son who may have places outside of St. John's that they can set up their brokerage business right within the, let's say, the precincts of the harbor, and to have shops, to have restaurants. Even the young lady here, what's her name, Jackie, that has this derelict-looking building there that sells food. I've asked Mr. Telemac to get us some containers, help her to fix up the place, and to, have something really decent and one in which you can even do more business. So those instructions were given to Mr. Telemac. The whole idea is to pursue this in an egalitarian way to make sure that we uplift everybody. And by the way, to my knowledge, Jackie is an opposition person, but we're not even looking at color right now. And I know my comrades tend to believe that, all opportunities must go to Labour Party people. It doesn't work like that. I'm Prime Minister of a country, and we have to provide a space for even those who may not have supported us. And I believe, too, that is a policy that is helping us, and that is why so many people are now supporting the Labour Party, because they recognize that there's a space for them at the table. There are many others who have the view, you don't need these people because they're frustrating your progress and so on. I don't see it in that way. I believe that people will defend their best interests. Nobody's tied to any particular party or color. If you treat people right, they will support you. And that is the philosophy of my government. So even Jackie, with a little derelict building there, we want to carve out a space for her to have a decent restaurant in which she can have increased patronage, make more money, take care of her family, and there'll be other opportunities for entrepreneurship around the port. In the case of Point FM, as you know, Point FM just constructed a billboard there at Back Street. And the whole idea is to rent it to the port.
I see you jumping ahead of me because I was
Put
just
on the
about the
poster.
last time you were here. You said you're going to make sure that that is being put up, and we made sure that it's been done.
Done.
Yes.
And the point is, though, I know they thought that it was a Gaston Brown poster going on there, that elections are coming. But that is not the case. It is a Point FM billboard. And it's a 16 by 32 billboard, which I understand will also have some lights and so on in it. So the port is going to put...
What is it made of?
Made out of steel.
Steel. Good.
I want to tell you, right? We have built others before out of timber. But they never looked as imposing as that one. So I thought, when I saw it, I said to them, but gentlemen, why you all made it so big? So they said, look, it's a 16 by 32. It looks really imposing. But it is the thin sheet galvanized sheeting, so it's not very heavy, because if that put on the thick sheeting, that will be a monster. And my understanding too is that they put in some straps at the back to make sure that it is solid, and that even during a hurricane, it will remain standing. But as you know too, every time we have elections, you have our billboards been mysteriously burnt by those who know that they gave instructions to burn them. So I want to see how they got burned this one.
This burn thing seem to be a popular thing, but
no, but you may not be aware. I had a big billboard the last time when they set to the fire. I mean, I don't know if you all remember. I'm Rackerman. I'm Wang. Yeah. So look, by the way, I tell you this much. There's a particular parliamentarian who had 2 billboards. Put them up, thinking maybe elections were coming last year. So DCA told him to pull them down. Anyway, my understanding, let me be careful how I say this one. I understand too that those were supposed to have been burnt mysteriously. And I go no further.
Leave it there. Leave it there. When you spoke about Food City just now, when you mentioned Food City just now.
You know why they were not burnt? I'm not going to say who gave the instructions to burn them. But I'll tell you what the person who got the job to burn them told me. He said to me when he went there on St. John Street to burn one of them, he recognized that the business there for the Chinaman. He has a camera. That's where they burn it down. So what they wanted to do was to burn it down and to say that I am the one who burnt it. And I'm speaking from what the person who got the job to do it told me.
Okay, again, when you mentioned about Food City just now, something comes to mind, because I can remember the previous administration had purchased some lands there from Food City. I think they paid about $15 million. Am I correct?
$15.5 million.
$15.5 million.
And rented it for $4,000 a month.
Oh, that's where I was.
Can you imagine that?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I say to people of this country that Harold Lovell had a counting problem. He was the finance minister of this country, Harold Lovell.
Yes.
He bought land and building for Food City that was even worth maybe $5 million. He bought it for $15.5 million. Now, one can speculate there must have been some bubble. I'm not saying necessarily involving Harold Lovell. I know they love Sue, so I have to guard the station.
Yes.
But when you have public officials, and clearly when you make that kind of decision, the Minister of Finance must approve of it, yeah? And I know that couldn't happen under my government. When you have a situation where the government is going to go and buy an asset worth maybe about $5 million and pay $15.5 million, some kind of bubble must have been in that. Anyway, the point is, though, having taken on the liability of $15.5 million, they rented the thing for $4,000 a month. You're talking about $48,000 a year. Over 10 years, you'll get back $480,000.
Yes.
Over 100 years, well, you add another zero, 4.88 million. So the question is when we can get back that investment? When God comes to his world.
You actually on the same page as I am, sir.
And people want to put those people back into government. So while people in this country couldn't get no work, could not eat, could not pay their mortgage, could not pay for the car loan, we're actually losing the homes, losing the cars. Harold Lovell, as a finance minister, saw the need to pay $15.5 million to Food City that was closed. The old building there that was closed. Am I where? I don't know if you know the building. It's a galvanized building, you know.
Yeah,
with
I know
steel
that.
frame.
I know that. I know that.
$15 million for it. You think that could happen now to my government and have all the
Are you
poor
saying?
people out there suffering?
Are you saying that it was no poor value for money?
Poor value for money? I'm saying bubble.
Okay. All right, Mr. I'm listening to you. But those lands are going to be a part.
Who know they're guilty, they can sue me.
All right. Are you saying those lands are going to be part of the modernization
The
project?
land between, we're creating, some of the dredge spoils will be placed there. Already, we have created, from my estimation, probably close to maybe 2 acres of land already, from when we dredged the harbor about a year ago, when we did the expansion of Heritage Keep here. So what we intend to do is to create a few more acres and to turn it into viable land to assist Antiguans and Barbudans. And I want to tell Antiguans and Barbudans, land is power. You're getting cheap land under my government, buy it. I mean, 10, 20 years from now, you people get back in there and carry up the price. You're getting $3 now, buy it. Because somebody's saying that 20 years. 40 years?
Mr. PM, so the land, the building there for Food City, it's still there?
Yes, belongs
It's
to
still
the
there.
government.
It belongs to the government. What is going to be, because you're telling me the lands between that building
Yes.
and the distillery.
Yes.
Okay, so what is going to happen? You're going to leave that building there?
Well, it has been used by Premium Beverage. I think that's where Oasis water is actually processed. So, again, we don't want to disturb the operations. But I'm just saying what was done there was really criminal. And the purchase of the building was, took place before Oasis actually did. In fact, you know what? Even before Oasis leased it for the $4,000 a month, it was sitting there derelict. So government paid $15.5 million to the relic building and left it there to languish until Oasis came and started to pay $4,000 a month. Amazing.
Let's move on from the port. And I want to touch on another very important issue that came up sometime recently, where we're understanding. Let me go back a little bit further, because shortly after the June 2014 elections, you offered an amnesty. Am I correct in saying so?
Correct.
Yeah. Well, we're understanding now that you're now about to adopt legislation which will give rise to non-nationals who are still having gaps,
Yes.
open, close, inverted commas, in their lawful residency. And they're going to be allowed to apply for citizenship once they have resided here for over 7 years. When you were here the last time, you expounded on it briefly.
Right.
What's the update on that?
You know, we'd have discussed it on a couple of occasions, and I undertook to take the matter to the cabinet, which I did. We met last Wednesday, and the cabinet unanimously agreed to extend an amnesty for about, I believe it's 120 days, to allow those nationals who have these so-called gaps and these artificial impediments that would have deprived them from becoming citizens of this country. Let me make it abundantly clear here, we're not circumventing the process. Let me explain what would have happened with many of them. Many of them would have been here for 10, 15, 20 years. They would have had children here. But for some reason, during the period that they would have been here, either their time would have been processed late. Perhaps they may have left their passport with immigration, and they took them maybe a couple of weeks to process, and as a result, they found themselves in a situation whereby a gap would have been created. So, let's say the passport expired on the 13th of January, and they would have filed, let's say Thursday. Then they may have held it for about maybe, let's say, 2 weeks, taking it to about the 27th of January. But instead of putting a stamp, making it, backdating it to, let's say, the 13th or the 14th of January, they would put a stamp from the 27th of January. So when you look through the time where the stamps evidencing that it would have paid the time, you'd have seen a gap of maybe 2 weeks, when it would have been no fault of theirs. It's just when the immigration department would have processed the application. Now, we can't disenfranchise people for that purpose. And let me make it abundantly clear, too. For those who believe that we're doing this for election purposes, even if they were to, let's say, they were to remedy those gaps in order to get their citizenship, you know how long it will take? About a year. So they would not be eligible to vote in the next general elections. So this is not a vote-getting initiative.
What stands now, and prior to coming to governance in 2014, was that created by the former administration?
It was. And in many instances, it was done deliberately. And we decided to help them.
Why do you say so?
You see, at one point, I remember in the 1994 elections, members of the UPP created a document. They fabricated it. Said that Ron Saunders wrote to the then Prime Minister Lester Bird to tell him to bring a lot of CARICOM nationals to support the Labour Party, which was not true. And they've always been very hostile to CARICOM nationals because they believe that CARICOM nationals historically have supported the Labour Party. Even the requirement to register to vote, to become an elector, you'd recall that it was 3 years. It was the UPP that increased it to 7 years. You know why they did it? Because they have the view that CARICOM nationals generally and historically would have supported the Labour Party. So they made it far more difficult by increasing it to 7 years. So we have always seen that type of hostility. They have said some of the most mean things, even in Parliament, against CARICOM nationals. I recall Brotherby at one point saying how Guyanese, that they're thieves. I mean, these are things that I actually quoted him from Hansard, so I can afford to call his name. Even Baldwin Spencer, leader of the opposition, would have been very hostile to CARICOM nationals. So they have literally created the environment of hostility, and even within the immigration department under the UPP, the workers there as well, they gave the CARICOM nationals a very, very difficult time. So some of these were deliberately created, and I'm saying it's unfair. You can't have people working in your country, living in your country for 10, 15, 20 years, making contributions, having children here, well integrated in our schools, our homes, our churches, and you're going to disenfranchise them. And as I said, it's not for political purposes because it will take them at least another year before they get their citizenship. And certainly the elections will not be called in 2019. That much I can guarantee the people of Antigua and Barbuda. So they can go and speculate again. They can say,
wait, PM. I want you to repeat your last bit there. You're saying election
will not be called in 2019.
Are you giving us the heads up here? Because I've been trying to peep your hand for the longest. Okay.
As soon as I think that they start to misbehave, I'll lash them. If they keep quiet, they get elated on in the air.
Okay, so I hear you. I hear you.
And by the way, even though I said that, I reserve the right to change my mind.
Well, we all know that. We all know that.
So don't come and tell me that I said it won't be called in 2019. Okay. People just change their mind for good reasons, right? Okay, so you can change my mind and say, hey, 2019, well, so be it.
Now, Prime Minister, I can recall recently, and I was just trying to open it up here on my computer, but recently at a town hall, and since we're speaking about immigration, since we're talking about passport, what comes to mind is the visa-free access to Canada. And recently, somebody sent me a video of the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. You're a very good friend. You know who I'm talking about. Your buddy, so to speak.
My dear friend. You know, I said to you, spent a week here with me in Antigua in 2013, and somebody that I literally have a very good relationship with.
He spoke about the stringency that was lacking in terms of securing visa-free access to Canada. You must have seen that video by now, because every Tom, Dick and Harry has it. It's basically gone viral now. We're at a town hall meeting setting. It sounds to me like an Antiguan. I think she called her name some Michael or something like that. But based on what she was asking is if there will be any resolve and we'll see the visa-free access being, given back that status to us here in Antigua and Barbuda. What's your comment on that? Because you have seen the video, haven't you?
Of course.
Okay, so tell us what's your feedback on that. When you saw it, tell us what you said to yourself. And also, I understand that you have written, I have a copy of a letter that was written to the same gentleman, your good friend, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So tell us, give us a feedback on what you considered when you heard the video first and foremost.
Yeah. Well, I recall that there were lots of speculation as to why Canada would have discontinued the visa-free access. As I said to the nation, they could not have pointed to anything wrong that my government would have done. So, for example, I know that the allegations in other countries about selling passports and so on, yes, that happened under the UPP, in which about, 2 former government ministers and an ambassador were actually implicated in a court case. As you know, the U.S. District Attorney brought a case against them and others. But outside of that, that has not happened. In fact, we have since made the process so transparent and so tight that it will be extremely difficult. In fact, one of the requirements now is that we have to go to Parliament and have an affirmative resolution of Parliament when we make these appointments. We just agreed to 2 individuals. There's a gentleman out of, I believe, somewhere out of Africa who should be an honorary consul to Ghana. And there's a gentleman by the name of Dario Item who should be an honorary consul to Spain. Those 2 eventually go to Parliament for ratification. They're not individuals who I know personally, but they were recommended to the government as very influential people. They are now citizens of Antigua and Barbuda on the CIP program, and having done all the due diligence checks and so on in them, they are individuals who can help the country to carry out its mandate. But I'm just saying here that the appointment of diplomats, that is very, very watertight. You know, we're the only country that processed the entire list. When we first sent the list to our Canadian counterparts, they said to us that it could not have been exhaustive. And the reason why they said that is because there's a lot of propaganda out there about the sale of diplomatic passports. We subsequently published a list, and no one can question it. It's an exhaustive list. And if you know the public sector, if we were to hide anything, they would have exposed us.
Yes.
So I think now that they are comfortable that we have said to them exactly what the position is, and it is the truth. But there are some other issues that would have created some anxiety for the Canadians. So, for example, you recall that sometime in 2016, probably somewhere around October 2016, that CBS came here to Antigua and they did a hatchet job on the Caribbean countries that offer the CIP programs. I think they were specifically targeting St. Kitts, Dominica, and Antigua and Barbuda. The other prime ministers had declined speaking to them. I chose to speak to them because, as far as I'm concerned, we have nothing to hide. So they came here, and they interviewed me for over an hour. They tried to spin me all around the place, trying to get information to suggest that there are wrongdoings. And I kept saying to them, let me tell you something. We operate the most transparent, the most accountable CIP program anywhere in the world. Not just the Caribbean, anywhere in the world. So they didn't have their own way. And I have to tell you, they were very deceitful too. They cut and paste the information in such a way to carry their own program. So, for example, whereas they made a claim that there's a company, Sweet Homes, in the UAE that was able to confer citizenship on its customers. And this is a company that sells condominiums without due diligence and without paying anything. I said to them, first of all, it is impermissible by law for any real estate outside of Antigua and Barbuda to qualify on our real estate program for citizenship. Impermissible by law. They didn't carry that part in the interview. What happened? They kept asking it over and over. Then I asked the interviewer whether or not he believed it. They carried that part.
Yeah.
But I'm just showing you how deceptive they were.
What was the response of the interviewer when you
They were
asked?
shocked. You know, I was like, hey, you're going over and over. I mean, I told you the truth, that it is impermissible in law. It is impossible. It never happened. It cannot happen.
Yes.
It was just propaganda. And, you know, Observer had carried some articles before. And let me tell you now, you see this problem with the visa fee, revocation of the visa-free access in Canada? There are 2 entities in this country that created that problem. Observer Media Group, and the UPP. I want to repeat. The revocation of the visa-free access for Antigua and Barbudan citizens to Canada is as a result of propaganda, the fabrications by the UPP, which were carried by the Observer Media Group.
Why the Observer? Why you say so?
Because they're the ones who were carrying the information as though it was factual. One of the first allegations that was made against the program, let me tell you, they understood too that the CIP program was literally a savior for us in the sense that it brought us some fresh cash and we were able to pay our obligations and keep the country afloat. And the UPP meant to damage it. They wanted to destroy it because they felt that if they destroyed it, then the government will suffer, the people will suffer, and their chances of being returned to power would be greater. So one of the things that they said early and bright was that $500,000 was stolen from the CIP program. You'd recall that statement that was made by Mr. Tabor.
The Manny Tabor.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, I'm the one who actually wrote to the police at the time and asked them to investigate it. I knew it was not true, and I knew exactly what they were trying to do. Was they were trying to bring the CIU and the CIP program into disrepute. Now, the whole idea was to investigate the matter, which the police did. So they interviewed members of the CIU program, the CIU unit. They also interviewed the accountant general and many other public servants. When they got to the accuser, he refused to make himself available, and then subsequently they had to go for him forcefully. But you know what he said to them? He said to them he got information from anonymous sources.
Yes.
When indeed he said he had reliable information. So that was the first thing that went out there that sullied the program. CBS was not particularly successful. They could not come up with one passport that we issued to any crook or any sale of any passport. The closest we came to any issue with any passport was a gentleman there from Hong Kong, what's his name now, the billionaire that disappeared. And by that time, the passport had already expired because it actually emanated from the UPP. And I decided at the time as Prime Minister to honor it, but only to honor it for 2 years. So unlike others that would have gotten 5 years, we cut that one down to 2 years. Not that I'm saying anything is wrong with the gentleman, because he may well have been a victim. Although I understand now that he's beginning to do some business again, so no criminal charges have been filed against him. That's the gentleman that introduced Fancy Bridge to us. So the point I'm making here is that, you know, the UPP government, the UPP opposition did all they could to try and undermine the program. When we, for example, had sought to introduce a board, and we recognized that it was superfluous so to do, because the unit in itself is managing the program and is like a board in itself, managing the CIP program. That is the CIE unit. So we had taken legislation to Parliament to give the board the control of the CIP program, but you had a unit already in place. I mean, a functional unit.
I follow you.
So it was superfluous. So they held on to it and said I refused to put a board in place. And what we had done as well, we had strengthened the law because under the UPP, it was a minister who was responsible. In that case, it would have been me. So what we did in Parliament, and by the way, it was the leader of opposition who recommended it at the time, the Honourable Baldwin Spencer, we changed it to say the cabinet so that the CIE unit had to report to the cabinet through me as chairman, so I could not take any singular decision on any issue involving the CIE unit. Even up to this day, it has to go to the cabinet to get the approval of the cabinet, and then we'll authorize whatever policy initiative. We thought that we were doing the right thing to strengthen the program. They said the opposite, that it should have been a board. Remember, they had no board in place, you know, but they told the entire nation and the world there should have been a board and how we watered down the program. Totally untrue. Then they said that there was intervention. We took a hit there as well from Checkway.
Yes.
Checkway left the program, you know, I'd say under questionable circumstances. And Checkway then said that there was political intervention, which was not true. You know, I don't even know the staff at the CI unit. I've been to the CI unit once to meet with the staff to introduce myself. I do not involve in their decision makings. I do not involve in any approval of any files. And we have never, ever been involved in the processing of any derogatory individuals and any derogatory information. It's totally untrue. But again, fabrications. So you had a situation that in the INSA report of March of 2017, they then said that Antigua and Barbuda operates the most lax CIP report in the world. Now, from the time that happened, I knew we were in trouble. So what happens generally with the creation of the INSA report? they have some low-level diplomats who go to various countries and they speak to people of influence. Generally speaking, the guys in Barbados, they don't speak to the government. They go to the opposition. They get all kind of propaganda from them. And then they send information to the State Department as though it's factual. And they weren't able to verify whether or not it was true. They just treated whatever Harold Lovell and others in the society who obviously, who have issue with my government. They took the information as though it was factual, sent to the State Department. So it ended up in the INSA report as though we were operating some laxed CIP program, which was not the case. It turned out that the Antiguan program was far more stringent than any other program in the Caribbean and beyond. We had between 3 and 4 levels of due diligence. And by the way, even the United States, the law enforcement agencies at the time were assisting us with our due diligence. That was an initiative that my government introduced. We also had the JRCC, and all of our applications are going to the JRCC. In the case of other countries, they were sending a fraction of theirs. We sent all. We played it according to the rules. So when we were told in June of last year that Canada had decided to revoke the visa-free access, I actually spent about an hour with the ambassador and the immigration official, and I challenged them. I said to them, provide me with information that there's any wrongdoing. I said, provide me with information of any weakness in our program, and they couldn't.
Okay.
By the way, I also, on the 27th of June of 2017, wrote to Justin on the matter, Prime Minister Trudeau. And I just want to quote what I said then. I said to him at the time, we are ready to provide evidence of our unflinching and aggressive vetting processes for applications seeking our citizenship. For applicants, let me review that. So, again, going back to June 27, 2017, I wrote to him as follows. And I'm quoting here. We are ready to provide evidence of our unflinching and aggressive vetting processes for applicants seeking our citizenship. We also remain ready to invite the fullest possible involvement by Canadian authorities in bolstering the process. End of quote. We were so sure that we're doing our utter best with the due diligence that we invited them. We said to them, look, we do not consider this to be undermining our sovereignty. We want you to come. If you see any weaknesses, we'll make the changes. And I just wrote to him again. Haven't heard his response to the young lady,
letter.
Michael, yes.
Okay. Having heard the response to the person who posed the question to him at the town hall meeting, is that why you were prompted to write this?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so I want to share this with the listeners, and you could, if you allow me.
Go right ahead.
Yes, okay. By the way, it says here, January 13, 2018, Honorable Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister, Office of the Prime Minister, Ottawa, Canada. Dear Mr. Prime Minister, first, I extend to you, Sophie and the children, best wishes for a healthy and productive new year. I look forward to seeing you later this year at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Conference in London, if our paths do not cross before then. A video recording of a town hall meeting that you recently conducted has been doing the rounds on social media in Antigua and Barbuda, particularly the section in which you responded to a question about Canada ending visa-free access for holders of Antigua and Barbuda passports. It is only a question of time before it appears in the traditional media. As it happens, I welcome the comments you made on this matter, since they cast light on the reasons for your government's actions and provide an opportunity for measures to be implemented that should cause the Canadian authorities to reinstate visa-free access to Canada for Antigua and Barbuda passport holders. Briefly, I understand you too have said that the reason for imposing visa requirements on Antigua and Barbuda is that our Citizenship by Investment Program, the CIP, did not have the level of stringency and analysis to satisfy Canada's high standards for border control and security. Since I'm not aware of the depth of Canada's standards for border control and security, I'm unable to comment on whether our very intense vetting system somehow fell short of meeting Canadian standards. However, I'm obliged to point out that our system involves 4 levels of stringent vetting of applicants before approval, including by Interpol and the Joint Regional Communications Centre, in which the relevant agencies of Canada participate. Having pointed out that, Having pointed that out, I wanted you to know that I'm much more interested in two other remarks that you made, especially since they could open the way for lifting the visa restrictions on Antigua and Barbuda and restoring the traditional relationship of trust and cooperation that has always existed between our two nations. You said that Canada is happy to work with Antigua and Barbuda to ensure that our CIP systems meet Canada's high standards, and that if Antigua and Barbuda make significant improvements necessary to its program, you could then look at lifting the visa requirements. In the past, we have invited Canada to do precisely what you said, that is, work with us to ensure our CIP systems meet Canada's high standards. 6 months ago, on June 27, 2017, in a letter to you, I renewed this invitation to Canada. Specifically, I said, and you quote here, "We are ready to provide evidence of our unflinching and aggressive vetting processes for applicants seeking our citizenship. We also remain ready to invite the fullest possible involvement by Canadian authorities in bolstering the process." Given the remarks you made at the town hall meeting, I'm again renewing my invitation to your government to review our program without restraint and to make recommendations for implementing improvements that would satisfy Canadian standards. We would also allow every opportunity for Canada to verify implementation. Incidentally, we would not regard this as surrendering sovereignty over our affairs to Canada. We recognize that we live in an interdependent world where the pooling of sovereignty is necessary to achieve joint objectives, particularly in relation to security. Therefore, our invitation to Canada is voluntary and mutually beneficial. It is not a yielding of sovereignty. As it turns out, my High Commissioner, Sir Ronald Sanders, is scheduled to be in Ottawa on January 31st and February 1st for meetings with officials of your government. It is my hope that you would give your officials instructions to discuss these matters with him so that we could advance the remarks you helpfully and constructively made at the recorded town hall meeting. With every good personal wish, yours sincerely, Honorable Gaston Browne, Member of Parliament, Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. So basically he has not responded.
He only got it yesterday. The town hall meeting took place on Thursday.
Okay, so this is January 13, I'm seeing here.
Right, so it was circulated.
Okay, yeah. So
yesterday.
you are awaiting a response from him.
Correct. And I'm trying to arrange a meeting as well with my ambassador to Canada, High Commissioner to Canada.
How optimistic are you that something could be changed here? Do you think that...
What I'll say, the reversal of the situation, if it's going to happen, it will take my government to get it done. I know that Harold Lovell says that if he were to win the next general elections, that his first trip abroad will be to meet with Justin Trudeau. Now, again, as I said, Justin is somebody who I know personally, and I believe that I have far more influence on Prime Minister Trudeau than Harold Lovell could, even if he, if he were to try for 100 years.
Wouldn't get that close.
Of course not. So the point is, though, that he's given us an opening, and we're now seeking to exploit it. I want to tell you, ordinarily, I would not have been very optimistic about it, and I'll tell you why, too. The dialogue about our CIP program did not start with Prime Minister Trudeau. It started with his predecessor. So we would have kept them up to date, fully informed of everything we're doing. Even at one point when we thought about the possibility of processing Iraqi applications from individuals in the green zone on a limited basis for those who had visa access into the United Kingdom, the US, and the UK. We wrote to the Canadians at the time. So at no point we ever made any unilateral decision or decisions to do anything without keeping them informed. Now, the other point I want to make here, we did not relax the due diligence of the UPP. The UPP started this program, and they had one level of due diligence. They were using private entities out of the US, Canada, and the UK to do due diligence. We strengthened that. We invited the Americans to be part of the process. We invited JRCC to be part of the process. And we also had, in some instances, a local level of due diligence. So you'd have seen, for example, in which we moved the level of due diligence from one player, this is what we inherited from the UPP, to 4 different tiers, and 1 tier to 4 different tiers. So this idea that we'd have done anything to undermine the program, there's no evidence of that. What we have done is that we have enhanced the program. So for example, one of the things that we did, we introduced a list of sanctioned countries. One of the most lucrative markets of CIP is Iran. We do not process transactions for citizens of Iran. So anybody who lives in Iran or have their money coming out of Iran, they're not eligible to be processed under our program. The other countries in the Caribbean do so. We do not process Iraqi applications, Sudan, North Korea, and several other countries, about 8 countries on our sanction list. And that is one of the reasons too why ordinarily we'll do less business than other countries in the Caribbean, because our program is far more stringent than the other countries in the region that do CIP. So the point I'm making here, there's no evidence whatsoever. And I'm not saying that there's not scope for improvement. And anyone, it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be Canada, any country, or any individual for that matter, even if there's a member of the UPP who is aware of any weakness in the program and they suggest any strengthening, we will do it. So we are not averse to making changes to the program. It's just that no one has been able to tell us at this point, up to this point, not even our political opponents, that there's any particular, let's say, shortcomings of the program, even in terms of due diligence or even in terms of its operations. So, but then the lesson from this, though, is that when we entertain our political opponents, when people entertain our political opponents, and they allow them to spread false information, it has consequences. That is a message.
Serious consequences.
False information that damages the state has consequences. So whereas people were laughing and they found it funny when Tabor said that $500,000 was stolen from the CIU program, when they said that we were processing applications without due diligence and so on, and they found it funny, we are now reaping the whirlwind. But there's hope, and my government will be doing everything, all in our power, to reverse the situation. There's an opening now that we're seeking to exploit, and if it is doable, it will take the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party government under my leadership to get it done. No Harold Lovell, no demand at Tabor or Daniel could get it done.
Now, you wrote to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I know that he's your personal friend. Instead of writing, apart from writing, have you also given him a call and discuss it with him?
By the way, he acknowledged during the town hall meeting that we've spoken on a couple of occasions about it.
I realize that.
I'm likely to see him sometime in April at the Trogam, and we will discuss it again. So it's it's an ongoing thing, and he knows me on a first name basis, so it's not a difficult thing to have a conversation with him. As I said before, he doesn't know Harold Lovell, so I don't know why Harold Lovell think that he could be more effective in getting this policy reversed. He's just fooling the people,
Okay.
And he put out a statement to the effect stating, as soon as I win the elections, win what? He ain't winning nothing.
Okay, let's move on, shifting gears again, because we're going to open up our lines momentarily, very soon. But a few things, one or two things that I still want you to comment on, because, for example, I understand that your cabinet was informed by the Minister of Tourism that the Half Moon Bay, the demolition there has begun already.
Correct.
The construction of a new hotel will commence in the third quarter of this year. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Now, again, the point has been made that Replay came to this country about, let me see now, back in 2011, somewhere around there, 2012.
That's the Replay Group.
Yeah, so they've been here for about 5-6 years. But they had some difficulties, and it took some level of creativity by my government to help them to get to the stage whereby they're now demolishing the old structure, and hopefully by the third quarter of next year that they'll be able to start, or this year rather, they'll be able to start construction. Now, the fact that a developer would have come to the island before means nothing. They had no contract with the UPP. They had no contract with anyone. They didn't have a contract with Half Moon Bay. They never paid a cent for the purchase of Half Moon Bay. Yes, they had interest. And the truth is, even the purchase of Half Moon Bay was a challenge for them. Again, it is my government that did certain things, which I would not want to make public, that facilitated that particular process or purchase. So I don't understand them. But even Sheikh Tariq, who came here on a sightseeing visit for about 2 days in 2013. Now that we did a deal with this man, they're trying to take credit. So if somebody comes here on a vacation, let's say, or they came here maybe, let's say, 10 years ago, under the tenure of the UPP on vacation, and we now decide to do a deal with them in 2017, 2018, to do a new hotel property or new investment property, that makes it a UPP investment?
No.
I don't know what kind of foolishness is this. If they can present any contract to show that these people had a contract to, let's say, purchase Half Moon Bay or to develop it, then I can say yes, but there was nothing. I mean, I heard, for example, Tabor saying that the port project is their project, that they left it in place.
How so?
Now, what he didn't remember is that they used to tease us. They teased us for about a good 2.5 years and said that the Chinese Exim Bank is not going to fund the port because they don't have any confidence in my government. And if you all recall that. So, make up your mind. I mean, 2.5 years, consistently they said, because what had happened, we had made an overture initially to borrow about $200 million US. And I recall a famous statement in which I said, hey, look, our debt to GDP could shut up close to 200% because we're going to borrow to build this new port and to expand the cruise facilities in St. John's. We subsequently decided to go for the $90 million US, and we're using mostly equity to deal with the expansion of the cruise facilities. Anyway, for about 2.5 years, yeah, they bragged. They said, oh, they're not going to get it because the Chinese government has no confidence in them. Now we got it. They say they're the ones who arrange it. Amazing, huh?
Amazing. Okay. Now,
in fact,
what about the interest payments? Because we understand that is about what, 20 million US
2% on the loan, the 90 million loan.
No, I'm talking about the Half Moon Bay.
Yeah,
the interest payments about
we're still about 20 million US. Yeah,
and that's of course.
You see, it's a typical example again in which the UPP government would have destroyed value. Now, here's a situation in which they acquired land valued at about, let's say, 23 to 25 million US dollars. They were unable to get it sold. They were by the way, Replay was around since 2012. So why did they get Replay to buy it then?
A very good question.
We would have saved ourselves about what? We would have saved ourselves maybe about a good, maybe $7 million US worth of interest. They had no buyer, they couldn't get it sold. It is my government that eventually got it sold, paid the $23 million to Half Moon Bay to clear off the principal, and we only have practically interest outstanding now.
Yeah, what are you going to be doing about that outstanding interest?
We have to pay it. But what the people of Antigua and Barbuda ought to understand is that interest, there was no corresponding value. It is because UPP held the property for so long and did not sell it, why we accrued at 20-something million US in interest, or maybe it was just about 20 million US in interest. So, whereas my government has been creating value, the UPP consistently destroyed value. They not only destroyed value by collapsing the economy, because when they collapsed the economy, you know what happened during that period? We lost $800 million in value. Then, with Half Moon Bay, they acquired the property, held it for nearly a decade, and then, well, for a decade actually, because I think they acquired it sometime in 2004, somewhere around there, or maybe
about mid-2004, if I'm correct.
If that's correct. Yeah. So they held it for 10 years, accrued $20 million in interest, without any corresponding value. May as well they had left the people with their properties, at least would owe them anything.
I agree. Maybe it's not in my position as the interviewer to say that, but as an Antiguan, I totally concur with you. I agree with that.
So you're going to take up somebody's property, hold it for 10 years, and then accrue $20 million US in interest. You know how many schools that could have built, sir?
Speaking of schools,
we built St. Richard's Secondary School for $15 million US. That could have built 3 secondary schools. Guess what's happening now? The people of Antigua and Barbuda, the taxpayers, have to pay back that.
Yes.
And they have nothing to show for it.
Okay, speaking of schools, I understand that a team from the University of the West Indies, they're here yet, or they're about to come to this country?
I think this week.
This week?
Yeah.
coming up this week.
Yes.
They're going to be going down to Five Islands, the plant there, the school plant.
Correct.
To look at the plant itself
Physical
and the what is necessary for the fourth campus of the University of the West Indies. You want to expound on that for us?
Yeah, well, it's a process, and they have to examine the plant. They have to run the figures, look at the overall viability, and about April of this year, we should have the final document to determine the viability, whether or not there has to be a subsidy by the state, which I'm quite sure there will be a requirement, and how much that subsidy will be. And on the basis we're able to satisfy that subsidy, then we definitely will have that fifth campus or fourth landed campus of University of the West Indies. So it's work in progress. It is pretty advanced. We have already passed the necessary legislation, and all goes well. Perhaps within the next year to 18 months, you will have the full operation of the fourth landed campus of University of the West Indies right here at Five Islands.
Okay. We're moving on, and if you notice, Mr. Prime Minister, I'm doing this because I believe that you would want to attend the One Nation concert.
So we have to open up the lines.
We have to open up the lines very soon.
Certainly, yes.
But give us an update now on what's happening with your efforts, your committed efforts to the decriminalizing possession of small quantities of marijuana. I understand that you're going to be having further consultations.
Yes, we hope to have a major consultation, a parliamentary consultation sometime in February, perhaps no later than the second week in February. We'll be inviting all stakeholders, all interested parties to come out to that consultation as we seek to finalize the provisions of the bill, one in which we will decriminalize a certain amount of marijuana, 10 grams or whatever is agreed to. And we also may have to make some level of provision for individuals to own a few marijuana plants, not for exportation, not for retail, but for their own
personal use.
Personal use, because if we are suggesting that we're going to decriminalize a small portion, then there has to be some level of production. Otherwise, you'll be facilitating an import trade, which is something we do not wish to encourage. And again, nothing that I say should suggest too that I am also suggesting any form of production for exportation. I want to make that abundantly clear. As I said to you, the plan is eventually to move to the production and use of marijuana for medicinal use, and that will come subsequently. But in the meantime, I would say very shortly, in a matter of weeks, we hope to pursue the decriminalization of marijuana and to make sure that we do not criminalize our youth for small quantities of marijuana.
I understand. By the way, again, just moving forward quickly, because I want to cover grounds as fast as possible, and I'm glad that you responded to that in quick time. I noticed that we're going to be making history in terms of us having the first sexual offences court.
Correct. That is correct.
When I read about this now, I said to myself, I wonder where we're going with this one. So I'm particularly glad to know that you're here, because I'm understanding if you're in a union, if you're in a relationship, a union, and you have your wife, are you saying that I can rape my wife, sir? Or is it for only common law?
Well,
common law union.
According to the distinguished Attorney General, that's what he says, but we may have to consult in that particular provision before we take it to Parliament.
I don't think if you are not if you're in a union with Queen Myrrh, I don't think that you would think that at some point in time you feel a little peckish. Mr.
Well, what I will say, if she were to rape me, I would not.
But this is something that is going to be holding a lot of debates. Will be held on this particular issue.
See, we also have to take into consideration the cultural ethos of the country as well. And I do recognize.
I see Jules smiling over there still.
Yes, sometimes you have abusive spouses, who could harm their spouse, and in that case, they have to have some level of protection. But I also recognize too that it could be a legal provision that could be utilized mischievously. So we have to create some balance, and I think we ought to consult further on this issue before we proceed.
And some protection for individuals from both gender, from both sides.
Exactly.
All right, we're going to take a break. It's precisely just about, it's precisely 5 minutes after 6 o'clock, and we want to be out of here in quick time, so we're going to open up the lines just now, but we have to go to a break. When we come back from the break, of course, we want you to join us. For those of you outside of Antigua, I want to begin with you. You can find us. We're streaming live from our website, brand new website. Check us out. It's wonderfully done. I have to say thanks to Sherwin. Sherwin is with us now here at Point FM. You can find us on www.pointfmradio.com. That's www.pointfmradio.com, and listen to us there on our website, live and direct at you. Our WhatsApp board is also open. You can find us there. Send your messages to 729-7102. And again, for those of you outside, especially outside of Antigua, especially from the tri-state area, because we have a wide following in New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut, you can also call us. You can reach us on 1-268-562-3989 or 1-268-562-2991. For those of you locally on the ground here in Antigua Barbuda, it's simple. Oh, so simple. All you have to do is to call us on 562-3989 or 562-2991. For those of you watching us live on Facebook, find us there, Point FM. Just go to your Facebook account. In the search field, you drop in Point FM. That's Point with an E, P-O-I-N-T-E, Point FM 99.1, and join us there. Make your statement, your comments as well. You leave your comments, and we'll take it from there. But for now, let's go to the break. When we come back, we'll open up the lines and have you joining the discussion. Stay tuned and stay locked to us here at 99.1.
Bring life to your home and business with Lee's Nursery and Landscaping located in Freetown. We specialize in landscaping, turf grass management, plant nursery and care, just to name a few. We provide excellent and professional service to indigenous companies and private homes island-wide. Give us a call at Lee's Nursery and Landscaping, where our motto, the very best in Bougainvillea, speaks for itself. Let your fingers do the dialing. 268-736-2692. Email us at petelee1015@hotmail.com. We also offer expert advice, and no place in Antigua is too far for us to travel. Lee's Nursery and Landscaping in Freetown is ever ready to transform your homes and businesses. Give us a call today.
Want to feel great? Nothing makes you feel better than the smell of a brand new car. Nothing makes you feel better than a brand new Suzuki from Hadid Motors Limited at 6% interest. 8 years to pay, no deposit, with payments as low as $650 from Caribbean Union Bank, Friesel Road. All you need is an invoice, job letter, proof of address, and 2 forms of ID, plus free insurance, free licensing, free registration, and free plates. You're going to love up to 5 years warranty. That means no worries, no breakdown, and no parts problems. Come to Hadid Motors today and test drive your new Suzuki. One is here just waiting for you. Get ready to feel really, really great. Hadid Motors and Caribbean Union Bank, putting you in a brand new Suzuki. Give us a call today at 481-2500. Terms and conditions apply.
So good, I got you.
Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, the Honorable Gaston Browne, presents One Nation. One Nation. The concert this Saturday, 13th January, 8 p.m. featuring the world-renowned UB40. Plus, Jamaican superstar Christopher Martin.
I'm a big deal.
The Dominican General, Asa Banton. Hispanic sensations, the El Tropical Band. And representing Antigua Barbuda, the legendary Burning Flame. Eminem Music, Splash Harper, Claudette Peters, Drastic, and Tian Winter. This Saturday, 13th January, at the Antigua Recreation Grounds, 8 p.m. Through music, Antigua unites at the One Nation concert. Admission is free. Free.
Yeah, we're kinda important. For real.
Antigua, I know you want it cheaper, but better. Top quality to last longer. Well, you definitely have to check Dynamic L&L Enterprise. Located in Ranger Range, we offer smart television, 24-inch, barbecue grills, cold pots, and so much more. We also do shipping. I mean, no kidding. Call us today. Call us right now. 734-7994 or WhatsApp 717-8090. It's Dynamic L&L Enterprise in Ranger Range. We ain't selling nothing strange.
All you come and buy, all you come and buy. When I reach California, they better know. Hello, my name is Winterman and I link with Honey Motors. Got the best car brands in what are the best vehicles, top quality. I'm talking about Toyota and more. Kia brands them sell out for sure. More than them creating a frenzy, that is where you could come and find me. Middle of the road, middle of the band, middle of the fed, middle of the jam, come check out Honey. And if you're looking for quality, get in the middle, get in the middle of the best car deals in town. Get in the middle, get in the middle of the best car brands around.
Turn up the heat this summer with a brand new Toyota, Kia, Ford, Mazda, Mitsubishi or Sanyong from Harney Motors or Ace Enterprises Limited. We got the best deals including free insurance, licenses, free gas, plates, registration, and free service. So make that first step today and get in the middle of the best brands from Harney Motors on the corner of Factory and American Roads. Telephone 462-1062 and Ace Enterprises Limited, Sir Sidney Wallen and George Walters Highway. Telephone 462-1289. Terms and conditions apply. Visit us on Facebook for up-to-date deals.
You're listening to 99.1 Point FM.
Antigua and Barbuda, away they bury me near the stream. And at an early age, in the cane field I start to sing. I'm from a family of 13.
Hey, welcome back to where it's at, the hotspot, of course, Antigua's latest sensation. And let me just remind you about Clean and Shine, a divine skincare center for all nations. They're on a new location now, Upper Corn Alley, St. John's, Antigua, next to Barry's Barbershop, and you can call them up at 734-6622. They're well-trained professionals specialize in taking care of all skin problems, giving you facial and face massage, rejuvenating, enriching, shining, and caring for your skin, beauty supply, hair supply, you name it, makeup and weight loss products, natural products to boot, African fashion, providing African fashion for men, women, teenagers, and children, necklaces, jewelry, watches, and so on to suit your special needs, your special occasion. And for the ladies, in case you want your hair scarf tied, they tie them for you as well and make your African dresses. There's an African Connection business as well, linking you to meet friends in Africa, assisting and helping internal and external students who want to pursue a career in science, computer, and maths to achieve a successful result. The African mailbox as well, making your orders and connecting you to study for your degree in Africa and more. So check them out, Clean and Shine, and don't forget, they're well-trained professionals specialize in taking care of all skin problems, providing African fashion for men as well, women, teenagers, and children, like I said. They tie your headscarf, ladies, and make your African dresses. African Connection business, linking you to meet friends in Africa. African mailbox, making orders and connecting you to study or to study for a degree in Africa. And there's also a snack department, cakes, drinks, and African delicacies, science lessons for external and internal students as well. Call them up, 734-6622, Clean and Shine, Divine Skincare Center for all nations. Their new location again, Upper Corn Alley, St. John's, Antigua. And of course, while you stay tuned and locked to us here at 99.1, you'll hear more about Clean and Shine. Let's go quickly to our telephone lines. You're live, 99.1. Good evening to you.
Hi, good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, good evening.
This is my first time on this program, not on this station, but on this particular program.
Okay, well, since it's the first time on this program, then you don't require the bell for
No,
this one. How are you today anyway?
I am good, thank you.
Wonderful. Talk to us.
I've just been making an observation. I've been noticing that everything that the Antigua Labour Party, the government, has implemented or has planned to implement, the UPP make claim to it that they had it in the pipeline.
Sure.
I remember before, during the time in office,
We were going to do that.
they used to call themselves Government in the Sunshine. Have a suggestion to them. I strongly suggest that this time they change that slogan to Government in the Pipeline.
I like that one.
I do not understand.
That's a good one.
I can't understand what benefit is it to anyone that you have water is plugged up in the pipeline, but it cannot come to your tap.
Yes.
Great program. Good evening.
Well, thank you so
Brilliant,
much.
brilliant.
Thank you.
Government
That's a
in the
good
pipeline.
government in the
I love
pipeline.
it.
I must use that one.
I love it.
Let's take another one here. Good evening. You're live. 99.1.
Good night, Colin.
Hi. Good night. How are you?
Mr. PM, how are you doing?
Good night. I'm fine, thanks.
Okay. Now, Mr. PM, you remember leading up to 2009 election, one of your constituents said to us as we heading on the campaign trail that he was paid to burn down your IT center.
Oh, yes.
You remember the one there?
Yes. And my home,
You remember the constituent say
my
that?
home too.
Oh,
And you
well,
know,
all right.
he went
You
and
remember, I remember that.
yeah, he went and ZDK and said so too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And we missed security room?
No, I
okay.
ain't calling him.
Leave it at that.
Alone.
Now, secondly,
Yeah.
Mr. PM, I'm asking this question. You speak of an amnesty again.
Right.
This amnesty is going to go for whether you're out of time or just for people with a citizenship.
Well, if you're out of time, if you have gaps.
If you're out of time, I have gaps.
Yeah. So tell them to check with the immigration department and they'll advise them on the eligibility. But
Okay,
again, as I said,
that's for citizenship.
exactly. Well, it goes beyond citizenship because you want people to regularize their time.
Okay.
Generally speaking, we
So
don't want
when
people
that
to
is
be
going
living
to
in the
start?
country illegally.
Okay, so when that is going to start?
Immediately.
Immediately as of,
Right away, they can go in on Monday.
they can go from Monday. Okay,
Yes.
thanks, sir.
And it's 120 days. And again, as I said, this is not an election ploy.
No. They just want to help people to get themselves
Correct.
straight now.
Correct.
Right. Okay then.
Okay. All right. Let's take another one here. We're going quick. We're really going quickly here because we have to be out of here. Yes, we are thinking about going to the One Nation concert. Good evening. You're live.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
Good night, Mr. Prime Minister.
Good night, Excellency.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good night, Markham. I think you recommend you.
He left.
He left.
Oh, he left. Oh, Colin, good night. How are you?
Good night, man. I'm good.
Good night, Mr. Prime Minister.
Good night again.
Being a brown boy, this job was just there for you, man. I listen to this and all these ups and downs. But you don't make certain things. Well, I know that certain things not gonna get to your head because you know you can't throw up from brown easy, you know.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Whoever do anything wrong when time comes, they will bear the penalty, you know.
Sure.
And you continue to do the good work. And good night to Miss Maria Bird Browne.
Thank
Like
you. and
people
thank
know
you,
what
Catherine Marie.
people know what I say Bird, but I'm Birdie. Mistress Maria Bird Browne.
True.
Okay then, take care.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let's move on. Good evening. You're live. 99.1.
Good evening, Colin. Good evening to Mr. Prime Minister.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr.
Prime Minister Grafton Browne.
Good evening.
Right? Okay, I'm going to ask you. You did apologize or you not apologize?
Well, I believe Colin may have to play the clip here. I said that I apologize in the event that Wilmot Daniel is guilty. I apologize to the nation. And I'm apologizing on his behalf.
That is exactly what you said.
Yeah. So you apologize to the nation, I said? Eh?
On behalf of Wilmot Daniel, if he's guilty.
Ah.
I don't think y'all are following me, you know.
Essentially, he never apologized. He apologized for Wilmot Daniel on behalf of to the nation, on behalf of Wilmot Daniel.
If he's guilty.
If he's guilty.
Yes, he's guilty.
So the Prime Minister essentially did not apologize.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And let me just play that quickly so that people will get the gist of what we're talking about here.
This is to confirm that on the 2nd of January of 2018, during a sitting of the Parliament, that I said to one of my colleague parliamentarians that I had reliable information to confirm that a report was made to the police indicating that that particular parliamentarian paid the person a certain sum of money to burn a building in St. John's, and that the parliamentarian did so in order to get insurance money. I make no apologies about that statement, which was made within the parliamentary chambers. And if it is that the individual is trying to intimidate me, then it will not work. Now, I made a subsequent statement on Point FM about another person. And this person is a candidate of the UPP who has been involved in 3 fires, not 1, but 3 fires. And I find it extremely laughable that without calling the person's name, that Wilmot Daniel would assume that I was speaking about him. Now, if it is that he is guilty and that the cap fits him, then I say to him that I make no apologies for my articulations. However, I apologize to the entire nation on his behalf if indeed he's guilty.
I think that was quite fitting. You're being very gracious in saying so as well, Mr. Prime Minister. Okay, we have another caller here. Let's go. You're live, 99.1.
Yeah, good night, Big Neil. Gaston Browne, he guilty.
Oh, Lord.
He guilty.
Just don't call the name.
No, just don't call the name. That's all. Okay.
Gaston.
Hey, Neil.
Big Neil. Yeah, hey.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch. Sorry.
Yeah, make me check you home.
Okay.
All right, we go to the WhatsApp board quickly. One of them here says, good afternoon, Shelley's here and clients are listening. Good afternoon. Shelley's very smart. Shelley making sure she get an ad in here. She says Shelley's here and clients listening.
Well,
but Shelley is smart and that's a good way to go.
By the way, you must give some free ads, you know. Like them,
Mr. PM, I hear you. But
I know you have to leave, but you must give some free ads
we have a station here to take care of you. All right. So, my Prime Minister and you, well, thank you so much, Shelley. And we are glad that you and your clients are listening. Always keep tuned and locked to us here. Another one here says, Colin, good day. And my Prime Minister, my name Colin, give it to the Prime Minister is okay. And she left her name here. Another one here says, tell Harley knows who he is. Excellent work. He earned my continued support for the 4th campus. 5 more years. I guess this is in relation to the 5 Islands Fort Campus.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's go to another one. Question for the Prime Minister. I would like to see more overnight visitors, more planes at the airport. Can we expect more than what they already? Can we expect this and how soon? Also, Liat needs jets. I understand St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister backing local investors for Boeing 737 jet operation. As a shareholder of Liat, how can that be?
Yeah. Well, they're probably looking at flights originating outside of the Caribbean. So there'll be no competition. If anything, it will complement Liat's service. So Liat's market is primarily the Caribbean. Again, in terms of Liat, what's the other issue you raised there? I missed that.
Okay, let me do it again. It says here, Liat jet operation as scheduled. How can it be? Liat also needs, just I understand, St. Vincent, more visitors. The planes at the airport, more overnight visitors and more planes at the airport.
Anything else about Liat? Okay, but in terms of the visitors, though,
air arrivals, I believe they're talking about.
We need more rooms. That is a problem. That's why we're trying to get the Royal Antigua refurbished, expanded.
Up and running.
We're also trying to get the hotel there at Hodges Bay, the former Hodges Bay Club hotel, get that completed by about June. In fact, the government just backed a loan for them.
I was just about to ask you for an update on that since you said that.
To have them complete the hotel by June for a July opening. And hopefully the other hotels will come on stream later in the year, and that will have perhaps at least a 25% in the room stock within the next 18 months.
Okay, another one. Colin, how does the Prime Minister believe the Democratic National Alliance and their candidates will impact the next election? That's one. And how does a person...
Let me answer that as you go ahead. QT will say 0-0. Go right ahead.
0-0.
Yeah,
okay, the next one here. And how does a person who is interested in purchasing government residential land could go about doing so without getting the runaround?
There are 2 agencies that have land. They are National Housing and Chapel. So they need to apply to National Housing or Chapel, and I'm pretty sure that they should be able to satisfy the requirement.
Okay. All right. And, okay, you answered both of them. Another one here says, good program, great hearing the Prime Minister. Well, we're happy that you are pleased. Another one here, Bobby Ali locked. I'm telling you.
By the way, we're doing a project probably next week, that old house for Sharon.
Yeah.
We're going to tear it down and rebuild it.
Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Another one here. Well, that person is still typing. Let me see if there's something that we could share. Yes, one here says, Mr. Prime Minister, good night. A young man with 2 children and married. I'm doing my thing by cutting grass to support my family. I'm in need of a pickup or a small dump truck. I would like your help in getting one if possible. I don't know if this is the right medium for him to do so. Maybe you can...
We'll see what can be done in terms of waiving the duties and
we
taxes.
write the number down.
Anything we can to encourage youth entrepreneurship. So like a young person, a young family, will support that type of initiative. And if it is that they're looking at funding as well, I believe very shortly, within the next probably 60 days, we should have a loan window at the Antigua and Barbuda Development Bank to support that type of initiative.
Wonderful. All right, another one here, and I do hope that he has heard a response to his plight there. Another one says, don't forget the small local motel, guest houses, and hotels. Yeah.
And that person is right. I want to tell you, certainly for the next term, or later this year for that matter, we want to make sure that we provide a space for local Antiguans and Barbudans to own small hotel properties. We're even contemplating, and I just want to put this in the public domain, you know that area from the former, let me see what the name of this former hotel now is, Buccaneer, not Buccaneer,
Marina Bay?
No, when you from, trying to get the description right, Shell Beach, you call up there, going right up to Barnacle Point.
That area that where the hotel was and it was demolished?
Yes.
Beachcomber.
Yeah, from Beachcomber.
Beachcomber. You're not familiar with the area. I'm around that area all the time.
Thank
yes,
you.
yes.
We want to relocate that road to bring it further inland.
Really?
Yes, and to create some land on the beach.
It's now edging, or the sea's edging too closer to it. That's why you're going to do that?
And to make some of it available to Antiguans and Barbudans to develop small hotel properties.
Okay, wonderful.
So I just want to put that out there in the public domain.
Say that you heard it first. Say that you heard it first on this station. I'm not too sure if you said it anywhere else.
I never said it elsewhere.
Yes.
There's some people who may say, well, you know, they used to go there and cool out in the evenings and so on. Okay, we understand that. Maybe we do not need to do all of it. Maybe we can leave some of it.
Yes.
So we'd like to hear from the public if they think it's a good idea for us to relocate the road and to create some lots there to empower Antiguans and Barbudans to create small hotel properties.
All right, another one here. Let's go to the telephone line, see who's joining us. Good afternoon, you're live, 99.1. Okay, we lost that one. Let's take another one. Good afternoon. I'm sorry, good evening. Okay, we lost both of them. Jules, you have any comments there for us from the Facebook
let me
page?
make the point about these small hotels. Let me just expand a little. As far as I'm concerned, the large hotel model creates a problem. They wield so much power that they become uncontrollable. We're better off diversifying our product and to empower Antiguans and Barbudans to own small properties. They could be maybe as small as even 5 rooms, 10 rooms, and to help them to market through Airbnb and to literally ensure that they become significant owners in this industry and to provide a form of empowerment to make sure that we build a true stakeholder society.
All right, let's take another WhatsApp. Jules, I'm coming to you. Let's take one here quickly. We're trying to do this expeditiously because we are trying to wrap up and get out of here as soon as possible. Prime Minister, 17 none. I want to give them no plating. 17 none. Another one here. Mr. Prime Minister, when you and Mr. Jonas going to fix back the Burma Road Bridge? You know, remember the situation where Mouse burst the road up there.
Okay.
The Burma Road, just before you enter, or a little after you enter the quarry area. Yes. But strikingly strange, since that has happened, and since with the last set of, we haven't seen any flooding since then.
Okay, we'll address. We'll check with Public Works and we'll make a determination.
Okay. All right. Any more? Don't forget the small local. Okay. And the person said, sorry, I don't know why. It continues here. How can I apply for a job with Sunwing? Well, just apply.
Yes, down at Royal Antiguan, they have an office there, and they should be able to get on to them.
So they should go down to Royal Antiguan.
They're employing about 700 people. Now, someone told me they went there recently, and the security officer would not allow them to pass. So
why?
I'll find out for next Saturday exactly where do they go and how do they get past the security, because if you can't get past the security, how are you going to make the application for employment?
Exactly.
So I will double check and let you know, let the public know next Saturday.
All right, and keep me informed where that is concerned. Another one quickly. We will continue the transformation of Antigua and Barbuda into an economic powerhouse.
Absolutely.
All right, let's take one here. Good evening, you're live, 99.1. Hello. Hi, good evening. Good evening.
Yes, good evening. I just want to find out something from the Prime Minister.
Go straight ahead.
Okay, I want to find out what time he expect the open campus to open. Because usually...
Campus, probably meant.
The fourth
Yes.
campus, yeah.
Some people, like me, I'm doing an online course, but then some other people, they prefer the face-to-face.
Right.
You know,
I
so
would say between 12 to 18 months. It all depends on the April report. In April, we should be able to give you a more definitive timeline.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you for calling. Let's take another one. Good evening, you're live, 99.1. We lost that one. Jules, it's your turn. Let's hear the comments, or even if you have one comment there. You know, we're running fast this evening.
Mr. Prime Minister, have you considered some of the attack leveled at you by Butch Adams may have some
Butch Stewart and Adam Stewart, I believe.
No, it's Butch
and Adam Stewart.
Butch and Adam Stewart,
maybe
I
that's
believe.
what they meant. May have some racial overturns.
So, again, an observation. I presume that the person would have come to that conclusion, that there may be some racial overtones.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't want to make any such conclusion. I want to keep it to the issue of paying the taxes, and provided they pay the people's taxes, I'll be happy.
You know, I went out there and talked to Christopher Martin
Right.
just now. I remember I said to him, when you go back down, just tell Mr. Stewart that we here in Antigua are begging him please to just confirm and pay the taxes. That's all we want. That's all we want. Bottom line is. So he asked me, what's the qualm? And I said to him, well, as it is right now, he has been trying to put the Jamaicans here against the Antiguans, so to speak, because he's saying that the world boss doesn't like Jamaicans and so on, in a write-up in his newspaper. I mean, these are people who have been hired to work for him as, hitmen in terms of editorials and write-ups.
Mercenaries.
Since December last year before last, because we're in a new year, over 300 articles have been written negatively about you, Mr. Prime Minister, within the Jamaican Observer.
They're not resonating, and they never will.
Well, he's still continuing. So I had to send a message.
Always rise to the surface.
Yes. Let's take another one here. You have more comments, Jules? Let's take another one here. Good evening, you're live, 99.1.
Good evening, how are you?
Good. What about you?
We okay?
Yes.
Mr. Prime Minister.
Yes, sir.
Mr. what's that 3 job?
What 3 jobs? I'm lost.
Let's ask you a question.
What are you referring to?
The one of the parliament.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, let's ask you a question. Everybody have a 3 job be over the parliament?
Oh, well, you're referring to the former Speaker of the House, DJ Isaac. The answer to that is a resounding yes.
So, Donald Wright, that she got 3 job in our government, in the Antigua. Any government power in my government, my party, but my government.
Under the UPP, a small cadre of people, they're the ones who ate. They're the ones who made the millions of dollars.
No,
and
but
the rest of the
because you
population
make a
was left to languish.
Listen to me. You make a statement to the minister and then look, so I'm going to be busy on problem and make sure you don't pan the end, everybody can understand what you do.
Exactly.
That's wrong. But the woman at 3 jobs in our government, you okay? You know, come on.
They were all self and none
I'm
of
paid
you.
by government, paid by our government. She over the parliament, she over education levy, and she still teach the college. Government everything.
Correct.
But you right.
Grabbing everything.
You wrong for them day. But can you make one job to look? Me no problem if I want in a business. But make me know I do the people that think know I go. So you can't be no hand nothing.
Exactly.
And so how is it wrong? But me listen to our radio station. My band for one, 7
Mancho, you know what they're doing for Mancho? They are insulting the intelligence of the people of Antigua and Barbuda.
I know that. I understand that a lot. And when me tell you, heard me see Lester Bird go up on the program and went Thursday night, Wednesday night, but for your business that day. I mean, it's only end to certain part, but after certain part, in lose, yes. But what me say, there is no way that she had 3 jobs in our country. paid by the government. Good pay. Good pay she make on our government. She a she job, but you right. Because you make one statement that's wrong. I mean, come on. I tell Mark this backwardness, yeah.
Agreed, Fumanchu. You're on the ball.
You know what I mean? I tell you how to be backward in this country. If you wrong, if that's the wrong say that, look, the Prime Minister say, look, bam, 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 and you see that she job, you say that wrong, and that's the wrong too. But that's the only, the Prime Minister and the only somebody that wrong. But the Giselle is wrong. I mean, what must live in this country? And for your party of power, you right on and put party of the power, you wrong? At time out, don't look at the bring it
Okay, good. So take care. Let's take another one here. Let's take another one here. Good evening, your life, 99.1.
Yes, good evening, Mr. PM.
Good evening.
And good evening, Colin Bernard. How are you?
No, not Bernard. Is this Bernard?
He's selling his Bernard.
Oh, hi, Bernard. How are you doing? Good evening.
Yeah, man. Listen, I must first open to thank the PM for his intervention on the Petrographic food program. I can tell you, and I must tell him that, I mean, the people are happy.
This is the same thing we spoke about, Bernard?
Yes. The people are happy, and many of them said, boy, they call me, I'm getting back my card, and I must say to him that it's a real move and a real big man move to really consider the need of, the poorest and the most needy in our community. Mr. PM, I heard you mention that you're going to build a house for Sharon.
Yes.
Am I hearing Sharon or Sharon Walters?
Talking about Sharon here in Point opposite the ICT Center.
Okay, that's
but we have a program in place now to assist the poor and the indigent. I've spoken to Minister Marshall, and we'll be importing some material, and we'll make some cash available to assist those in your community who need assistance.
Yes, sir.
The differently abled. We'll make sure that we provide you with assistance to improve the housing. And I want to thank you for the fact too that you have identified a number of them who are living on a very squalid conditions. As I said to you, our government is an all-inclusive one. We want to ensure that there's equity in the system, and everybody must share in the gains of my government. So you can be assured that they will be assisted. The decision has been taken. Monies have been remitted already to the Ministry of Social Transformation. And very shortly, if they have not started, the intervention should be made very shortly.
Yes, I know that Mr. Raggi had visited at least one or two persons tell me that he did come and see them. But I want to ask if there's any way that, as an officer and a person, if I can get a bit more involvement, because I don't think I have been involved enough in the whole process.
You should, and you should get in touch with Minister Marshall.
But I work in a ministry.
Okay, good.
And I'm saying it to you to say that a lot of what I hear is on the wayside, and I think that at least I would be a bit from work and from a community and a national point of view. I am extremely willing and ready to really go out and work and know that when you go out and you talk to the people, definitely that they're going to be getting the help.
And we accept your offer. They're going to get the help. I mean, we do not bluff people. We do not deceive people. Our word is our bond. And we'll be assisting individuals who are disabled or differently abled to improve their housing stock. And by the way, we have an even bigger program coming. You see, all these communities like Point, Grace Farm, Artisan Sound, with all these decrepit homes.
Yes.
We will be embarking on a program to renew all of them over a period of time. Obviously, it will take time. It will take years. So I don't want anybody to go misquote me and say that we're going to do so in 6 months. But there will be a systematic program to assist people to rebuild their homes, especially those who have their wooden homes. I do not believe in wooden properties. There will be concrete properties, beautiful properties. And we will also have a program, a separate program, a social housing program in which we'll build homes in which individuals can probably pay, let's say, about maybe $500-600 a month. So that program is coming as well.
Mr. PM, I must say to you, I'm extremely grateful. I know the disabled community many of us are, because you see, when we have the UN Convention ratified, when you have a job disability act put in place, I mean, only for the people to really begin to read it and understand. I mean, the level of intervention that act has in place for them to really be more involved and to, to be empowered, that they know that there's something that they can look to and work with for.
And you know that my government is totally committed.
Well, we thank you for that. Mr. PM, before I go,
now, Bernard, you have to be quick because we're working with short order now. Quickly.
Yes, I live about 3 lampposts away from Mr. Green, and I tell you, I spoke with him today. The road we live on is awful. I mean, it's rain today, and it's like a swamp.
Alrighty. I know some road works will be done in that constituency shortly, so get in touch with Mr. Green, and I'm quite sure that we provide some level.
We talked today, and he said that the constituency representative is the one who really has to do it. But I said to him, look, all of us live in the area, let's come together and, do something, because whether you live in Bartlage or Liberta, if the government is at the end of the day is going to look good if everywhere is looked after.
Agreed. Look, Bernard, I want to say this to you, that we inherited a country in which practically all of the roads were bad. We would not be able to fix all of them at the same time, but I want to assure you that is a full commitment to repair all of them and to ensure that we have a good road network on the island. We've already gotten $250 million in resources to spend this year. The program, in essence, has started, so you will see more and more roads being repaired and constructed during the next 12 months.
And you take country to go from strength to strength.
Thank you.
Because if you're weak, if you're not growing, our country will fail. So
Sure.
you continue, and we the people who want to see progress, with the people who believe that you should do better for us, are looking forward and holding accountable for that.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
the
sir.
best to you, sir.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know, but everybody seems to want to come to Point FM to join us on our programs. I just had a call from John Messiah. She's asking me when she can come. I don't mind inviting her. She can come.
Anybody, if Harold Lover
if they want to be
come
objective.
too.
Oh, I'd love to have Harold Lover come down here.
I know when I used to tell you all I'll come and crusade you all, I'm invited.
No, they say one time when I heard you coming, I said, no, not he can't come here right now. He will mash up the place up here. Dog. He like a bull in a China shop. I said, not on the show. Anyway, we're wrapping up. And again, our listeners, we have to do this in short order. Mr. PM, it's soon time for us to get out of here.
Yes.
We have exhausted ourselves by about, 12 minutes there.
Right.
I'll take 2 more calls and maybe read about 2 more WhatsApp messages because we cannot continue to go straight up until 7 or 8 o'clock tonight. We want to get out so that the Prime Minister can go to the One Nation concert. So let's do this in short order, in quick time. Short and sweet. Good evening to you.
Yes, I just called you, Colin. This is your cousin. Want to say good night to the Prime Minister and to you. Always listening, and I forward all this stuff to all my friends on Facebook. Just want to tell the Prime Minister he doesn't have to worry about the two because he can go back to the tape from last week from Facebook and the week before, and exactly what he said. And ZDK did play exactly what he said last Monday to confirm that he never called the man's name, so he doesn't have to worry.
Yes.
It's on tape.
Thank you.
Okay.
Stick and stay. Okay, let's go another one quickly. Good evening. You're live, 99.1.
Yes, Prime Minister.
Good night.
How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Governor?
Good, Colin.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Yes, same to you, man. Same to Colin there.
Yes, good evening to you.
Yeah, Prime Minister.
Yes, sir.
Listen to me. I love when you say we want to do next Bush would pay his taxes.
Exactly. That's the issue.
We don't care who hooks about this president.
Exactly.
Just make certain you pay your taxes.
Absolutely.
All righty.
Absolutely.
And you have a wonderful time.
Thank you, man.
All right.
Blessings.
We have time for one more. Quickly. Good evening. You're live, 99.1.
Good evening. I just want to say good evening to my Prime Minister.
Good evening.
And I see you later at the show.
Very well. We're going to have a great time.
I'm calling from rural North.
Very nice. And again, inviting all residents, all citizens to come out this evening. It's going to be a great show.
Great show. As Christopher Martin did say, we're one link, and let's link up and just do what we have to do as a nation. One nation.
One nation.
Yes. Okay. That said, it's time for us to get out of here now. Mr. Prime Minister, I want to thank you so much for dropping by as usual on a Saturday.
Pleasure.
Even though we have done this in short order this evening, next week we'll make up for it.
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Very well.
I want you to enjoy yourself when you go to the show. I know that you are a lover of great reggae music as well. I found out that recently. Or is it all type of music you love?
Anything that sounds good.
Anything that sounds good.
Even if it's jazz, classical, just make sure it sounds good to the ears.
And you're good to go.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. We now let you go from on the studio rest. You can go and enjoy yourself now.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good night to everyone.
Yes,
Blessings.
good night. You take care. Thank you so much. And you're listening to 99.1 FM. That was our Prime Minister, our leader, the world boss, the Honorable Prime Minister Gaston Browne. We have to leave at this point in time prematurely because the Prime Minister has to be at the One Nation concert this evening. So for those of you going out to the concert as well, don't forget it's free. You don't have to pay a dime. Let's get together, whether you're from Jamaica, Guyana, Dominica, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, wherever you come from. We want you to go on out and join hands together in unison and give thanks and praise, and let's just enjoy ourselves at the One Nation concert. Stay tuned and stay locked to 99.1 FM. Dave Beeve Joseph comes up next. And he'll be taking you on a musical ride, a musical trip. So stay tuned and stay locked. My name is Colin O'Neill. Don't forget to join me live on Monday, right here, God's willing, God's Spear Life, right here on Monday from 10 until 1 p.m., 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And don't forget to also check out our brand new website. You can find us at www.pointfmradio.com. That's point with an E, FM radio. pointfmradio.com. Check us out. On that note, thank you once again and see you on the radio on Monday. Godspeed Live. Take care. Go on out and enjoy yourselves now.